Good? All right, folks, we're back. Up next is 5A, which is the petition number PLF 18-152. This is quasi judicial. Clerk needs to swear in those wishing to provide testimony.
Can I have everybody wishing to provide testimony please stand? Can I have you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge, so help you God? Thank you.
Thank you all. Okay, quasi judicial. Again, this is about the plat for Grand Paradiso Phase 8. Commissioner Luke, anything?
I had a agenda briefing with city manager, assistant city manager, and city attorney, and we did not go into any detail on this.
Okay, Vice Mayor?
Agenda briefing with city manager, assistant city manager, and city attorney. Follow-up questions, and specifically in regards to the total encumbrances on the property, and there was a follow-up email for some clarifications.
Okay, me none. Commissioner McDowell?
Agenda briefing with city manager, assistant city manager, and city attorney. I did ask a question about the dwellings, and I have not received a response yet.
Commissioner Hanks?
Yeah, agenda briefing, city manager, city attorney, assistant city manager. Yeah, you just read the title. Yep. We moved on.
Okay, applicant. Go ahead. We don't have any aggrieved parties, by the way. So applicant, if you'll go ahead and do your presentation.
Good evening, commissioners. My name is Ty Vermont with Kimley Horn and Associates, and I have been sworn. I'm here representing Lennar Homes on this application for final plat approval for what we're calling Phase 8 of Grand Paradiso. It's 125 dwelling, single-family lots located just west of Prestigio Boulevard. We have all the infrastructure improvements are bonded, and we are here to take any questions that you may have.
Commission, all right, wait, I have to remember, do we have to wait till the end to do the questions, or can we do questions now?
Pursuant to the new order, all of the presentations and the rebuttals, the questions come later.
Okay.
The blue arrow toward the bottom. The questions are down here on the bottom.
I just kind of done ass backwards, but I said it, I cursed. Okay. Next is the city. Go ahead and do your presentation. We need IT?
No, sorry, I was checking on that email question that you had.
Okay.
So Heather Hansen, city planner, and I've been sworn. I don't really have anything to add other than to answer questions. I do want to point out that the plat was reviewed and approved by the city surveyor. And about the question about the units, there was an email sent about that. Are you able to access that, perhaps? It would have come from Frank Miles. You sent it, right, Frank? Yeah. Do you remember what day it was, by chance?
No.
Would you mind reiterating your question? We did.
I'll wait until question time, though.
Okay.
Because of the quasi-judicial procedures.
Yes, you're
Thank you.
Yes, thank
Okay,
you.
so you have nothing else to add to your presentation, correct?
No.
Okay, wonderful. So, we have no public comment, just so everyone knows. And now they're asking for rebuttal, which is, I told you it's not right, but okay.
You're not following this order very well.
Yeah, I know. Rebuttal, then public comment.
There you go.
And now questions. I mean, neither of them. Stupid. Questions. I don't have a flippin' thingy. Sorry. Yeah, I don't have anybody up on
I'm
speakers.
trying to get up. So,
Pardon the interruption, and I might have missed it. Did you announce on the record that there was no public comment?
I did.
Okay, thank you.
So you did miss it. No. Commissioner McDowell?
Yeah. So what my questions was how many, what is the total dwellings that are allowed in Grand Paradiso? And what is the current count, including this plat number that we're at?
Do you know that off?
I might.
The cap is, hold on. The cap for the Village A is 2,199. And in total, Village A will have 2,165. So there are 34 short of the cap after this.
So the 2165 includes this plat.
Correct.
Thank you very much for those answers.
Okay. Any other questions, folks? No? Alrighty. So there's no closing argument, I assume? Okay, nothing from staff? Okay, let's go ahead and,
Make a motion to approve petition number PLF 18-152 for the plat for Grand Paradiso Phase 8.
alrighty, it's been moved by Commissioner McDowell to approve PLF 18-152, seconded by Commissioner Luke. Let's go ahead and, go ahead. Commissioner McDowell, you have anything? Commissioner Luke, you have anything? Vice Mayor?
My computer's been on the blink basically since Friday, so I just want to share that the email that I talked about before, which was the correspondence in regards to the title encumbrances, if the city manager or city attorney can provide that to the clerk, just as part of the record, that would be helpful, because I cannot get my email to work properly. So, is that?
And that was sent by Nicole Galehouse, correct?
I've asked so many questions on that.
It was, yes.
I don't know. And what it had to do with is the encumbrance that I wanted to make sure was not anything owed to the city, but it has to do with West Villages, and they're their own independent district, so they need to deal with that, but it doesn't pertain to the city.
And it dealt with Exhibit C in the packet, that just so everybody knows.
But
Yes,
city
and I'm happy to
managers,
forward that to the clerk.
thank you.
Okie dokie. So now can we vote? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Moving on, 5B. Thank you. Ordinance number 2018-29. This is the second reading. And this is relating to conduct of special meetings. City Clerk, can you read ordinance by title only?
Ordinance number 2018-29, an ordinance of the City of North Port, Florida, amending the Code of the City of North Port, Florida, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 2, City Commission, Division 2, Meetings, Section 2-54, Types and Schedule of Meetings, and Section 2-55, Agenda, relating to the conduct of special meetings, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, providing for coding of amendments, and providing for an effective date. Thank you.
Thank you. Folks, this is the second reading. Any questions?
Nope.
I'm happy to make a motion, but I don't have any button.
Go ahead.
I'll move to approve ordinance number 2018-29.
Second?
All right, so it's been moved by Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner McDowell. Anything to that, folks? Seeing none, let's vote. And that's unanimous. Awesome. Somebody's buzzing. Next up is ordinance number 2018-16. This also is a second reading. Change the street name of Southwest Village Parkway to Playmore. Clerk, can you read by title only?
Yes, ordinance number 2018-16, an ordinance of the City of North Port, Florida, renaming a section of Southwest Villages Parkway to Playmore Road, beginning at a point approximately 5,335 feet south of the intersection of US 41 and Southwest Villages Parkway, and continuing westward approximately 5,394 feet to its terminus point, providing for findings, providing for renaming of street, providing for change of official city map, providing to change of street signs, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, and providing an effective date. Thank you.
Commissioner Luke. Go for it.
Move to approve ordinance number 2018-16.
Second?
Moved by Commissioner Luke to approve ordinance number 2018-16, seconded by Commissioner McDowell. Anything to that, Commissioner Luke? No. Commissioner McDowell? Anyone else? Let's vote.
The code references were updated in this ordinance. Thank you, staff.
And I saw where the other side of Playmore was at.
And that's unanimous. Awesome. You didn't need to say anything, right? I figured that was just in case you needed to, right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing you.
You can stay for
Well,
the rest
no,
of the
he's got
meeting.
6A too, but I assumed you just put this in case you needed to say something, right? Yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, next up is 5D, which is the ordinance number 2018-23. This is related to Chapter 25 Parking and Loading Regulations. This is a second reading as well. So, City Clerk, please read by title only.
Ordinance number 2018-23, an ordinance of the City of Northport, Florida, amending the Unified Land Development Code of the City of Northport, Florida, relating to parking and storage of certain vehicles by amending Chapter 25, Parking and Loading Regulations, to include additional general references to repeal Article 2, off-street parking, Section 2519, parking and storage of certain vehicles in its entirety, reserving Section 2519 for future use, amending Chapter 23, zoning regulations, Article 2, AG Agricultural District, Section 5335, parking requirements, amending Article 8 PCD, Planned Community Development District, Section 53112, parking requirements, amending Article 10 RSF, Residential Single Family District, Section 53-122, prohibited uses and structures, amending Section 53-131, parking requirements, amending Article 10 RTF, Residential Two-Family District, Section 53-144, parking requirements, amending Article 11 RMF, Residential Multifamily District, Section 53-157, parking requirements, amending Article 12 RMH, Residential Manufactured Home District, Section 53-170, parking requirements, amending Article 20, Special Circumstance Regulations, Section 53-240, special structures relating to modular manufactured homes and recreational vehicles, and amending Chapter 55, Activity Center Design Regulations, Section 55-8, parking regulations, providing for adoption, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for coding, and providing an effective date. Thank you.
Well, thank God that was just by title. Lord. Okay. Yeah. Any questions?
We're going to do one at a time, just so I'm clear. There's two ordinances. I hope that moving forward, this doesn't happen again. But
Right.
This and the legislative text was not up to date. I just want to make sure. I do have a question.
Okay.
My light on.
Now you do. Yeah.
Okay. And the ordinances were not put on separately from the staff report. So to make clear, we're not approving the staff report. We are pulling out these ordinances. It's not going to be labeled Exhibit B or Exhibit C. I mean, there's two copies of ordinance 2018-23.
Correct, you are approving ordinance numbers 23 and 24.
2018-23 and 24.
Right. So which one? There's two of them in here.
They're the same. One of them shows the changes from, since the last meeting. They're highlighted in yellow, so you can see what the changes are.
Right.
And but they're ultimately, they're the same.
Well,
Okay,
they're not for the record, though.
Well,
They are two different things. And so that's my question. B is the clean version. Exhibit A is, and this is of the staff report,
Right.
this is not, the ordinance was not put on separately, says showing revisions, but that's only the revisions from the first one that's highlighted.
That's correct. So B and C are the ordinances that are, we removed the exhibit, tabs on those ordinances, and that's what the clerk has.
Okay.
Well, there's the two versions, like she was saying. One is highlighted in yellow to show what's changed since the first reading. That's just to help you see what was changed since the first reading. Exhibit B is the ordinance that will have Exhibit B removed and be the one that is adopted.
No, I get all that, but you have two ordinances here. Which one is it that you're looking to be, I mean,
Both ordinances, they're both related to parking and storage of vehicles. That's why they're together. The second one
Pull them
was to
out.
allow the parking and storage of vehicles where the mini storage and mini warehousing is allowed, but they're related in the sense that they're both parking and storage of vehicles.
And so for clarification, mayors, I'm sure you know, but I think it sounds like there's some confusion building. This will require two separate motions, one for
We know
ordinance
that.
23, one for 24. And things like the exhibit label, the line numbers
matter.
on the side will be corrected as scrivener's errors.
and what I'm trying to get at is clarification. Because at first it didn't sound that way. Number 2018-23 and number 2018-24 are different ordinances. They handle different things,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay, because that's not what was said earlier, and I want to make that clear.
Because there are two exhibits that are both titled 2018-23. One is a clean version, the other is a markup to show you the changes. And that's where I believe the original question was, is why are there two 2018-23s? To show you what changed. That's
I
why.
get that. And one should just be revised and strike through underlying version or what have you.
So the one then, A and B are essentially the same, although A shows things differently in the highlighted version. I'm going to work with Exhibit B, which is a clean version, which would be the one that we're approving, would be approving or not approving.
That's correct.
Okay. So then I will refer to the line numbers in Exhibit B. And my question on that is line number 195T, section T, modular manufactured homes and recreational vehicles. Certainly understand the terminology here within line number 197, number 1, where modular was scratched out and it's residential manufactured home because that's what the ULDC refers to the district as. My question for staff, and unfortunately couldn't get really answers before this meeting, is what is the intent here of this section? Is this section meaning to apply to both modular homes as well as manufactured homes, which is what the title T is referencing? Because in section 61 of the ULDC, there are two different definitions of the word. So where this title says modular manufactured homes, the language all within this section T makes absolutely no reference to manufactured home.
I don't know what happened because we did answer that in an email. I don't know if it was having to do with your email. But what I had answered is...
Today, I can tell you I've been in a meeting all day.
No, it was last week? I don't know. It wasn't today. So here's what happened with this. We saw that there was an error in this text. Since we were striking out part of this for this ordinance, it's supposed to say manufactured home, as you said, because that's actually what the zone is called. There are other issues that need to be changed in here. Like we can't say to someone you can't have a manufactured or a modular home anywhere except in a park. They're allowed by law everywhere in the city where residential single family is allowed. But we couldn't make those changes now because it's a completely different topic. And if we had addressed a completely different topic than what has been in the legal ad, and otherwise, we would have to basically re-advertise the meeting and, write a different ordinance. Because the title of the ordinance has to do with parking and storage of vehicles. So if we start fixing items that are not in that general area, then that's, can you help me with this?
Because it's incorrect. The title appropriately identifies that this section 53-240, special structures related to modular manufactured homes and recreational vehicles, is addressed. So if the commission, if it were appropriate to, and the commission wanted to strike the words manufactured homes from the title there in T, that would be covered under public notice.
But it isn't really striking manufactured home, it's addressing the whole modular issue. This was just written
Well, that's different from a
incorrectly.
policy standpoint,
I
but from a
see.
legal standpoint, the notice is covered.
And that's to my point here, is that absent that title, take the title away totally. Don't even look at it. This section, 1, 2, 3, and now 4, has absolutely no application to manufactured homes. There's no way you can apply it to a manufactured home because it doesn't speak to it. And that's my point.
Okay.
And so if that's the case, rather than have this confusion, that's my point.
Well, and if we were to address this at all, 1 should be taken out completely, I believe, because we can't, a modular home or a manufactured home are treated as a single, same as a single-family home, so we can't say that it's limited to where you could have them.
Well, this,
Is there anything that I need to say? Because any manufactured modular home has to meet the building codes, so there isn't really, this is just weird. When we saw this, I'm like, where did this come from? It's like totally incorrect.
so are you saying that a modular home cannot be limited to be allowed only in parks, permitted only as part of a residential modular home development?
I believe that is true, because they're considered the same as a stick-built house. They're just,
Modular, we're talking modular now.
Correct.
So you're
so like the
saying,
walls are put together someplace else and then they're assembled
Right.
on site. So that meets the building code as a single-family structure.
so what you're saying is that this number 1 is not even enforceable?
That's correct.
Okay. So likewise, because there is that different definition between the modular and the manufactured, because the manufactured has some difference in what that actually is,
Right.
it couldn't and wouldn't apply either.
That's,
And
yeah,
so
that's right.
whether we strike it from T or not, this whole section 1 can't be
It's not enforceable.
enforced.
Correct. So if we can edit it, which I was led to believe we could, not from the city attorney, we could
Okay.
just strike it.
So if we, well, I could let the attorney talk to that, but, so if we leave this modular homes and recreational vehicles and take out the word manufactured, that helps sort of rectify some of the unenforceability of this code,
Mobile.
because it doesn't even speak to manufactured. You follow what I'm saying? You're saying
Yeah.
1 can't even be applied, so why add to the confusion of having manufactured?
Manufacturer can't be applied either.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Okay. So you don't have an issue if it's modular homes and recreational vehicles as the title in T?
Well, there would be there's no reason to have modular there either, because if, you can't enforce the placement of modular homes either, so.
I understand, but
Oh,
that's
I
a
see.
different
I
question.
misunderstood that.
That's
Yeah.
a different question.
Okay.
So, like I said, you don't have an issue with taking out manufactured in T on line 195.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm not sure how to, number 3 is the mobile homes, which is yet something else. I can't wait till this code is updated. Recreation, no. How would you say mobile home? Is it more like a, mobile home is more like
Is the
a-
enforceability of the provision of section number 1 as far as the 1 habitable story and customary additions and so on, is that part of that number one enforceable? That first sentence enforceable?
I suppose it could be. Actually, if we wanted that, it could go it would make more sense to put it in the manufactured home district section than to have it here.
That's probably a total different, I would think,
Yeah,
publicly
I think that's
noticed ordinance.
what we were thinking of doing, and we were thinking that's why we couldn't do that.
Unless city attorney has a thought on that as to whether or not that could be cleaned up since it was in the title.
What is the proposed change?
Is that really that if we wanted to have one habitable story and that language in there, that it really belongs in the manufactured home district section, not in this special circumstances, special structures. So then we'd be
No, you
amending.
can't move that language from there into the section that you just mentioned. I don't see that in the notice, and I don't believe it's
Well, the
related.
RMH
If
is-
I may finish, and I don't believe it's related to the parking and storage of vehicles.
That's true, yes.
So then you would not meet the notice requirements to accomplish that at this time.
But to my question is that first sentence does apply. Regardless of the fact that it might make more sense in a different section, that part is enforceable.
I would assume so, yes.
I don't understand what you're trying to do.
What I'm trying to do is we have this section that's in front of us right now.
Right.
That has,
A lot of unenforceable language. in it.
not a lot. You're talking about the last sentence, which if it's there, I mean, by statute, we can't enforce that anyway.
Okay.
My point is, it was said earlier that you don't need the whole thing. Well, I think you do need the provision that is enforceable, because you can enforce that part. You can enforce that part without applying the second paragraph, or the second sentence. And I'm just looking to clean up where it refers to modular homes and recreational vehicles.
City attorney, what's your opinion on that?
I guess I'm also not sure, Vice Mayor, what you'd like to do other than change the title of the section. I have
Yeah,
no
that's
issue with
it.
changing the title of the
That's it,
section.
right? Just
That's it.
taking the word manufactured out because it has nothing to do with it.
So if you wanted to remove the word manufactured from line 195, I don't see any legal problems with doing that.
Okay. What else? Thunder.
That'd be it.
Sure sounded like it, right?
What were you talking about?
All right, so manufactured home, don't worry, just keep with us here. Manufactured home from 195. Okay, what else?
We have to remove manufactured home from the language listed in 1.
No, because that's the name of the zoning district.
Okay, what else?
That's it.
So you just need that one thing removed from the title.
Correct.
Okay, anything else? Anyone else? Okay, can we have a motion
Sure, I'll
removing that
make a
line?
motion. I move to approve ordinance number 2018-23 as in Exhibit B, removing, with the change, removing the word manufactured from line 195.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve ordinance number 2018-23, removing the one line from 195 referring to manufacturing homes
Nope, removing the word manufactured from line 195.
from line 195, seconded by Commissioner McDowell. The motion was made by Vice Mayor. Anything to that, Vice Mayor? Hopefully not. Good. Commissioner McDowell?
No.
No? Anyone else? No. Let's vote on that. And that's unanimous. Now we've got 24 to deal with. What? No, it's already been read.
Not that one.
No, it hasn't.
Didn't you read it in your whole
That was only
title?
23.
No?
That was
Oh,
all one.
Oh,
This one's a lot shorter.
it felt like 2 of them.
I wish, but unfortunately not.
I really Okay, go ahead.
Ordinance number 2018-24, amending Chapter 53 zoning regulations of the City of Northport Unified Land Development Code relating to mini storage and mini warehousing facilities. An ordinance of the City of Northport, Florida, amending the Unified Land Development Code of the City of Northport, Florida relating to mini storage facilities and warehousing by amending Chapter 53 zoning regulations, Article 20 special circumstance regulations, Section 53-240, special structures relating to outdoor storage and buffering requirements, providing for adoption, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing for coding, and providing an effective date. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now, Vice Mayor.
Okay, now there's only one of these, so in the ordinance 2018-24, line number 38, the September 25th, 2018 needs to be changed to October 23rd.
It is in my version.
This is October 23rd.
My version says 25.
Mine says September 25th.
So they have the one that got corrected, or was it?
The agenda was amended after the first version, so if you printed it before that, it's been amended on the agenda to have the correct dates in it.
Okay,
Okay, anything else?
anything else changing it?
Any other changes?
Not to the ordinance, no.
No.
No?
Okay. Go ahead, Commissioner
To
Luke.
approve ordinance number 2018-24.
Second.
All right, that's been moved by Commissioner Luke, seconded by Commissioner McDowell to approve ordinance number 2018-24. Commissioner Luke, anything to that?
I am very happy to have this one going through. The other one, I believe we'll be seeing evidence of that one coming back, but this one I'm extremely proud of.
I agree with you there. Commissioner McDowell, anything?
I am so glad that this is done, and I hope that the mini storage facilities are hearing us loud and clear and are going to take full advantage of it and make themselves a whole boatload, no pun intended, of money.
Amen to that. Okay,
Long time
anyone
coming.
else?
Yeah.
Go.
I had asked some questions in regards to where these would be allowed, and, you know, it is exciting that we're fixing these things, but the Shire and Activity Center 4 is the only places that they can go, and there was no parcels that,
Where's Tiger?
I'm sorry?
I did, it wasn't in an email.
Again,
Yeah.
and it,
What's
Yeah,
your
no,
email say for the rest of us, please?
Yeah, no, I understand. I just feel bad, but, I did follow up.
and this is what happens when, we get stuff.
There are some general commercial lots that are along I-75. There's PCD zoning just south of Activity Center 4 that have, you can have the underlying zoning be ILW or CG, so it could go there. There's a CG property just a little north of 41. And then there's an ILW, that's not, not in an activity center.
When I questioned activity centers 4 and 5, I believe were named because I specifically was looking at the Patriot storage sites and was told that they would be able to facilitate the outside storage. My motion was made because of what I was told.
Yes, the PCD areas that are just south of Activity Center 5 would be eligible for this because they have underlying CG and ILW zoning, or one or the other usually. So they would be eligible for this as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So is Activity Center 5 included
No, it's
or
not.
not?
I believe it only applies to 4 and 6.
It only applies to 4 and 6, is what you said.
But there's a section of PCD zoning that's not within Activity Center 5. It's just
Right.
south of it. And that's where one of the storage units currently is.
Thank
And
you.
that one,
Outside of.
because it's outside of it, but it has
Actual
the underlying
activity
CG or ILW, so it would be able to do it.
Okay. So, and there's nothing in Activity Center 1 that allows for it?
No,
Okay.
there's a few
Or-
lots that are just outside of one to the north, but.
That would? Okay.
Okay. You good? Okay.
I'm very good with this. It sets it in motion, just like what we did last meeting with some other commercial businesses in activity centers. So this one, I'm sure, will be coming up when we do the ULDC also.
Yep. Anyone else? Okay, let's go ahead and vote. And that's unanimous. Awesome. Thank you very much.
Look,
Okay.
moving into the future.
Okay, E is resolution number 2018-R-22 that's supporting a statewide prohibition of racing and wagering on greyhounds or other dogs. City Clerk, can you read by title only, please?
Resolution 2018 R-22, a resolution of the City of North Port, Florida, supporting a statewide prohibition on the racing of and wagering on greyhounds or other dogs, incorporating recitals, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Hold on, I gotta get my bearings here.
Any other questions?
Can I double check? Are you sure you read the right resolution title? Because you mentioned Amendment 13, and I don't see that in. No, it's not in the resolution, it's in the backup materials,
Resolution 2018 R-22?
correct?
Yep. Yes, that's what I have.
There was one version that we did back in September that was pulled, because I could have swore I heard you say when you read the title about Amendment 13, that is not in the title, that is,
No. Yeah, I don't have it in my title.
Yeah, I didn't hear her say
I
that.
could have swore I heard her say it.
There.
I didn't hear her say that.
I
You might have been thinking it.
Yeah. Okay. Any question other than that?
I don't have a question, I have a statement.
I do too.
Commissioner McDowell, are
I
you
just have a
good?
statement, I'll wait until if anybody else has
Okay,
questions.
Commissioner Yates, you have a question.
Yes, and I appreciate that this resolution was revised. There's one lingering whereas that's making reference to Amendment 13. So I don't know if it was missed, because basically, again, this is really the commission's support conceptually in regards to the subject of.
It's on the 6th whereas.
Thank you, Commissioner Wood. And here again, this is another example that the state, or that the legislative text, if somebody's reading this, is going to get the wrong idea because this legislative text was not updated, City Manager. So this is another yet example. This does
well-
not match.
Okay, well, because I was not here,
Yeah, we pulled it, we didn't do anything with it.
and you're saying that the whereas clause where it refers to Florida voters are expected to support the proposed Amendment 13 should not be in the proposed language of this resolution? Is that what you're saying?
Where are you reading?
But whereas
The
the,
6th whereas and the 7th
1,
whereas both
2,
have
3,
reference to
4, 5, 6.
first page.
Is 1, are expected to support the proposed amendment. Then the 7th one, the proposed amendment. And I don't see any others, but, so you're saying that there should be no reference to the proposed amendment? What are you saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Because this is not specifically supporting the ballot referendum.
Okay, so question. Who, was that the consensus or the actual will of the commission when it was polled? Was there a motion to that?
We didn't talk about this at all.
Okay.
This entire thing was pulled.
Okay.
We never had a word
So
about it.
there was never any actual direction to
Correct.
remove any reference to the amendment from this commission?
We had no conversation at all.
Okay, so there wasn't?
On this
Okay.
resolution, no. There were two
Correct.
resolutions that had to
Okay.
do with referendum.
Right, understand.
Right.
But I'm just making sure that no direction from this commission was told to staff to pull any reference to the amendment, and therefore, that's why it would come back the way that it was proposed.
That's not,
If I may speak to that, the item,
Please.
the item was pulled at the suggestion of the city attorney's office in conjunction with the city manager's office.
Because you didn't see it.
Yeah.
Right.
And because
I
the
know.
draft resolution needed work. And so resolutions of this nature should state facts rather than opinions in the whereases, or rather than like qualifying something. You don't want to say like, oh, this is a great improvement. You want to say, oh, this increases the size by 30%, for example.
According
So
to the
these two-
Florida Department of Business Professional Regulations, there were 269 Greyhound injuries, kind of like that.
Right, so that's why you see these statistics here. Now, with
70%
respect,
are expected, that would be an opinion, wouldn't it?
no, with respect to these two whereases, the first quotes a source here that's a statewide survey. So it's statistical data. And the second just is factual as to the content of that. Both of those whereas clauses kind of go to the idea related to the statewide ban. However, so from a legal perspective, I don't see any issue with them being in there. However, if you want to strike both of them in part or in whole, there's also no problem with that. That's really up to the commission. But it is not an oversight that
Thank you,
appears in the
that's what I'm
document.
trying to get at. That's what I'm trying to get at, is that this was not a direction of the commission, therefore an oversight. Thank you.
no, but there were a lot of other changes to the whereases, as was just described.
But that's because of legal review.
There were, and
Absolutely.
it's that we reworked it to kind of meet the legal concerns, and now it's yours. It's yours to do
Right.
with as you'd like, and now you're seeing it, and you can rework what you got to your preference, you know.
I make comment?
Is there any other questions? Well, let's
Not
get the
really, I
questions.
just wanted to point out that those two
So you don't have a
whereases
question?
are, no.
Okay, so let's make a motion, and then we can have comments. Someone want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. Move to approve resolution number 2018-R-22, removing the 6th and 7th whereas. Wait a minute. One, two,
I'll
three,
second that
four,
one,
five,
so we
six.
can discuss.
Hold on, 6th and 7th whereas. Which is the only two places where Amendment 13 is mentioned, correct? One, two.
Yes. The others are just facts that are
Okay.
stated.
All right, okay, so moved by Vice Mayor to approve, but with the 6th and 7th, whereas where it refers to Amendment 13 being struck. That was seconded by Commissioner Luke for discussion. Okay, Vice Mayor.
Yeah, again, I don't have an issue conceptually. I mean, as a voter, certainly independently, to me, as it applies to all animals. But that's me as an individual voter and what my positions are in regards to what's coming up on the ballot. And I think as a commission, as a body, that we should really stay clear of taking a position on that refers to a referendum, because we represent all people in our community, and there are some for, and there are some against, and I think that, it's very important for us to not cross that line, so to say. It's in the voters' hands as far as a amendment that's on the ballot, a referendum that's on the ballot, and you know, we're representatives of those that are going to say no and those that are going to say yes. Personally, you know, like I said, if it were up to me, there wouldn't even be horse racing. But, you know, I'm certainly fine with the concept because I think this commission has demonstrated and exhibited, you know, our feelings and thoughts as far as, you know, wildlife and protecting. And I think without those two whereases that we're just being very consistent with what we hear from the community in regards to the protection of animals.
Commissioner Luke as a seconder.
I don't have a problem of stating, you know, that as a commission, we kind of stand against the greyhound racing. But as it has been, we've been made aware from citizen that Amendment 13, in the language of the actual amendment, has some wording in it that could really be addressing hunting and fishing. And
We had a,
I have got a message
email,
here.
yeah.
Yep, that says that the Greyhound Rescue Group is advertising to vote no, as well as the American Kennel Club to vote no, because of that wording that's in it. So I couldn't support a resolution that, you know, supported something like that, but to actually just support the greyhound racing, fine.
That one. Yeah, but here's the question. How do we know that the American Kennel Club, well, AQ said that. How do we know that the Greyhound Rescue is truly telling people to vote against it? I don't.
And that kind of gets to my point about this is something that's out there. It's up to the people to do the due diligence in regards specifically to Amendment 13. You know, we have to look at it. But conceptually, in the caring for the greyhounds and supporting the prohibition of the racing, you know, that's different. That's just making a...
It's like what we did for Legacy Trail.
Correct.
Okay, Commissioner McDowell?
Yeah, I am all for preventing abuse of animals. I think the timing of this resolution is going to appear that we are in support of Amendment 13, when actually that's not what we're doing. We're just supporting that we don't want to have any racing or wagering of greyhounds or other dogs. Would we be doing this if Amendment 13 wasn't coming forth?
No.
Nope.
So it wouldn't even be on our radar. Thank you. Because I don't want it to confuse people that we are supporting it, because it is so tightly linked to Amendment 13. If this was 2 months ago, before these came out, or 2 months after this, then that's different.
Actually, it was 2 months ago.
Well, I'm more than that, like 6 months ago.
No, it really was over 2 months ago.
But I think if we had no connection whatsoever, because we're focusing on greyhound and other dogs, it is too close to the amendment itself, no matter how you want to slice it. And that is where I have an issue with it. I'm all for protecting the racing and wagering, but like Vice Mayor said, then you're getting into horse racing, and then you're...
God, that's not true.
No, we're not talking about the amendment. We're talking about other things that we're supporting that may be harmful to animals. So that's where I'm leaning towards, because if we're going to talk about inhumane use of animals of all kinds, we can't just focus on greyhounds or dogs. I think it's just too close to the actual Amendment 13. That's just my opinion.
Okay, Commissioner Hanks?
Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to support this at all, specifically, well, because of what was mentioned. And I know you said it has nothing to do with horse racing, but at some point it does, right? So it's already illegal to abuse animals. That is illegal. And not every organization abuses their dogs. I mean, I was raised on a farm. I have family that were, I have a brother-in-law that was a jockey at one time. I mean, they took great care of their horses, you know, horses, but they also did the same thing with their dogs. So if we're going to, I understand if you want to talk about supporting the regulation of treatment, you know, maybe certain inspections, which I'm sure they already have these things, criminal background checks, animal cruelty history, all these things. I'm not against saying, but I am against making a sweeping blanket statement that says all dog racing is bad. Because because you can say, well, it doesn't apply to horses, but it can. It can also apply to pig shows. It can also apply to cow shows and all these things. Yeah, people abuse animals, and it's a horrid, horrid thing to do. But we have laws against those things. I just don't think you should make a blanket statement against an entire industry or an entire organization because it breaks my heart that a couple, that some are bad. I say we take those that are bad and we prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law for their treatment of their animals. But I just don't see where I could do that. I mean, I don't see where I could make a statement like this that I support.
Okay. First of all, I read the law and I cannot even fathom that dog racing, hunting, or fishing would have anything to do with this constitutional amendment. That would all play out in courts at a later date and definitely would have a really hard time trying to say that because of the passing of this amendment that those things would then be banned. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is that we can take a stand on an amendment. We can take a stand on any amendment as long as we don't expend money. That is very clear. And we have a very large majority of folks that asked us to take a stand on this. So there's that side of things. I believe what Vice Mayor has tried to do is try to find a compromise. She has tried to find a compromise by taking out any of the references to Amendment 13. Why is it that we're just bringing this up? Why is it because it just came on our radar? Well, the pawn shop just came on our radar and we just fixed that. Absolutely. Sometimes life happens, we have other priorities, and yeah, you're right, we don't have other things that come up prior to action. So I think that this is a compromise by the Vice Mayor. Just kind of standing along the theory that no, we won't accept it, and no, we won't accept dog racing. I personally have been raised around here. I don't agree with dog racing. I do not support dog racing. I'm sorry, I don't. And that's my personal opinion, and I can have it. However, with that said, I do support horse racing, because you're absolutely right. I was raised around that too. But caring for horses, a whole lot better of a business, and just the regulations that go behind it are a whole lot tighter than there are for greyhounds. So, and I definitely support hunting, and I definitely support fishing. So I would not feel confident in voting for something like this if I didn't feel confident that it wouldn't regulate those other things. So there you go. More?
Yes.
Well, Commissioner McDowell has her light on, Commissioner Hanks has his light on, but they had already spoken.
No, I'm done. I just didn't turn it on.
Okay, so then you gotta take yours
Mine is
off
still
and
based
then
off
put it
of what I said.
after Linda because you never took yours off.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm just trying to keep everyone on the same freaking path. Okay, go ahead,
understand that in the title, it says here, supporting a statewide prohibition on the racing and wagering of greyhounds or other dogs. However, this Amendment 13, you can still wager on live dog races as long as it's not in the state. And that is a huge problem with Amendment 13 in my eyes. If you're going to not be allowed to wager, then put your money where your mouth is and ban it altogether. Nationwide, not just in the state. And that is
Can't do
in,
that with the state constitution.
well, this whole thing shouldn't even be in the state constitution to begin with.
It should be a.
This is a state statute kind
code.
of thing.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly.
This is nothing to do with
Yeah.
a state constitution thing.
I agree with you on
Because, Mayor, because this is too close to this amendment going forward or not going forward, it's too close to Amendment 13, I cannot support
that.
this.
You've already said that.
I know. I was
So
just
is there
pointing-
anything else that,
I was pointing out about the title and about racing being allowed
okay.
in other states.
All right, Vice Mayor, and let's get on with it.
You know, the one thing, if it were up to me, I really would, well, I'm only going to be here for a couple of weeks, but I would prefer not to see this commission have any resolution that has anything to do with a referendum that is in the hands of the people. And that's my position. Just because it might be legal to do something doesn't necessarily mean it's that we should do it. And so that's kind of my position, and I expressed this at the last meeting, that we had a resolution that, again, tied to a referendum. And so, for me, it's being consistent. If we can take up an issue that has to do with, you know, millions of dollars in a bond for a particular project that's on a referendum, and take a position on that that's more neutral, just conceptually, that this commission you know, supports conceptually the subject, then likewise, I'm trying to treat this the same way. You know, when it does come to animals, when it does come to these types of things, the commission is very consistent in that compassion and that approach. So I find it very consistent, and it's for that reason that, you're right, Mayor, I tried to make a compromise here, because I don't believe that we should, not that it's illegal, but I don't believe that we should take a position on a referendum. And, you know, I'm comfortable with all of the changes that were made by staff from the legal perspective and making sure facts are in here. And you're right, timing is everything, and this is the time that this subject is on the minds of people. So, you know, for that reason is why I believe collectively, consistently, as we did in the other issue we were faced with when it's made more neutral, that we should do the same, because otherwise we're speaking from two sides. It's okay to take a position on one and then not on the other. It was brought to us, and this is what we're dealing with. So I'm just trying to be consistent with that. And I understand your point, and personally, I can tell you, I don't believe in waging and on any animals. Any animals, I don't care if it's chicken races, horse races, and I was in the horse racing industry. I saw what happened. I know, and it's a similar issue, as to what happens to those animals. So I'd be the first one to also include that, but this isn't our subject. And I would just ask for the commission to support the resolution that has been modified conceptually.
Okay. You know, just a closing statement. I can't help it, because I've heard this over and over again, how this commission shouldn't take a position on referendums, but yet we wrote a letter to the board of that actually created these constitutional amendments and asked them to take a stance on home rule power. So,
That was prior to it going to the voters.
Yeah, we've done it on Monsanto and
but
all
my
these things.
point
We've done
is
these
that
little-
it's like pick or choose, so you can't say it's consistent.
That was
So if there was something that came before us that said, we've got a referendum on the board for home rule power, you're gonna sit here and tell me that you wouldn't have had a resolution in support of it? I'm gonna call BS on that one.
If you wanted them to put it on the ballot for the voters to decide on an issue, absolutely.
Okay.
That's the differentiation.
Okay, let's go ahead and vote. Again, this is voting on the amended version. And it passes 3-2.
Yeah.
With Commissioner McDowell and Luke dissenting for reasons stated.
McDowell and Hanks.
Wait. Wait. Oh, sorry,
it's
McDowell and
going on
Hanks.
Drinks on
dissenting.
Debbie. We agreed.
Okay. Dear God, I didn't expect that to take forever. All right, next up is, West Village Improvement District, consent acquisition of real property, city manager.
Pull up.
Yeah, I know, right?
All right.
To approve the acquisition of real property by the West Villages Improvement District. They informed us that they want to enter into an agreement for the purchase of property. According to the principles of agreement, they have to bring that in front of us in order to do so. Mr. Black, I know, is here with all kinds of ability to answer questions if you have any for him. I think he's rather excited. He's walking over there just in case you have any.
What did you say? That they don't want to enter?
They want to purchase property.
Actually, it's a donation at no cost.
Oh, I thought it was $1 billion. No?
You gotta put your hand.
They didn't win the lottery yet either.
$1 billion, no?
For the record, Marty Black and I have been sworn.
Yes. This is not quasi, but
Okay.
awesome.
I like how he says that and then just sits down. I have been sworn, I'm out of here.
Or not.
that's
So is there any questions, folks? Wait a second, my little light's on. Commissioner McDowell.
So I just have one, it's a very simple request. If you go to section number 3, it says blah, 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 to purchase, for the purchase of the real property as further described in Exhibit A. I'd really like to see that property identified in the agreement. Just put in what the
Oh.
PID number is as further described in Attachment A, because Attachment A has a map and stuff. I don't see there being any harm saying the actual parcel number in this agreement.
We can add that in this.
Okay. I see no other questions. Anyone want to make a motion with that amendment?
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement for the acquisition of the property by the West Villages Improvement District with the change in section number 3 reflecting the actual property ID number.
Second. Okay, so it's been moved by Commissioner McDowell, seconded by Commissioner Luke to approve, along with the amendments as noted by Commissioner McDowell. Anything to that, Commissioner McDowell?
Nope, thank you.
Commissioner Luke? Awesome. Anyone else? No, let's go ahead and vote. All right, and that's unanimous. Thank you, Marty, for hanging in there.
Marty, did you enjoy it? The commission meetings?
Yeah, we still got more.
Huh.
I got one tomorrow.
Okay.
Bye.
All right, guys, it's 9:04. Y'all want to take a 10-minute break and then come back and finish this sucker up? Hours.
Powell third.
Says all the non.
All right, we don't want them getting smoky,
I'm
crabby.
worried about that. I'm worried about standing up.
You know, I think we should try and get through the general business because
Okay.
then we have some items being pulled from
Discussion
the
and
consent.
possible action, potential appointment of a commission liaison to ULDC rewrite process. City manager.
Thank you, Mayor. In our kickoff meeting with the vendor, there was the conversation of whether or not to have a commission liaison to help try to make this process go smoother, so that they could report, the commission liaison would be able to report back to the commission, possibly like we have the CM and the administrator's reports on a monthly basis, where we stand on things. There's all kinds of options of what the liaison could do. But due to the importance of this and trying to keep everybody informed so that maybe on the back end this goes a little faster, we thought that might be a good idea and wanted the commission's thoughts. And if so, if you had a commission member in mind to appoint to be that liaison, if you'd want to do it.
I think you better include the entire commission. I got a problem with that one.
I got a problem
Oh,
with
wait.
it too.
Vice Mayor.
You know, in looking at the contract and just the way, this is a major project. This is not like an advisory board or anything like that, which might have a liaison just to communicate things. This is a major project. And the consultant has his scope of work or their scope of work, and staff has their scope of work that they do in communicating to the city manager, who communicates to us and keeps us updated on projects like this. I am very concerned that even at the suggestion that one member of the commission would be a liaison in a project like this. So, city manager, I don't
Yeah, it's
know
not,
if you.
you know, I want to stop you right there because it's not totally unheard of. And the reason why I want to stop you and tell you it's not totally unheard of, it's actually the reason why I don't support it. Because it's been done before. And usually we've done it with the county. And we've done it in negotiations, like our Parks and Recs agreement. So this is why I don't support it. Not that it's not something out of the ordinary, not that it's not a bad idea. It's just that I've seen it bite us before. And so that's the only reason why I won't support it. That's all. That's all. Anyone else?
No, and to your point, I mean, I guess that's what I'm trying to express, is from this consultant that we have working on this, just at the get-go and kicking this off, I'm concerned that that suggestion has come out, just because there are many places that this becomes a fiasco. So, that's all. So that's kind of to your point there.
Commissioner McDowell?
Yeah, I appreciate the idea. I am hopeful that, based on our concerns with the actual agreement and the time frame of receiving a 600-page document all at once to go through, I can see why you would make the suggestion. But maybe what it'll need to be done is that staff gives us an update every month as to what's transpired during those meetings. So that way then it's not 600-page of shock. We can see little bits and pieces that are coming forward with any attachments and any changes that were made. So that way then we can follow it along each month. And if we have any questions, we can then email them to you and get clarification. I don't know. But the person who do this is kind of, we do work as a body. But it was a good idea, thoughtful.
There's an idea.
You are our liaison, my friend. Yep. Good luck. Anyone
I
else?
like ideas. Good, bad, or
I'm
indifferent.
against it. Okay. So there you go. No action needed. Moving on. Commission orient.
Wait. Do we want to have them give us these updates, like I had suggested?
I
The staff
thought
is
we
going-
already told
Yeah, we
them
already
that
did
when
it
we
during the
agreed to,
discussions,
we
yeah.
did.
All right, I just,
Yeah.
making sure. Making sure.
So you can remind the rest of us. Commission orientation handbooks. I'm dead serious. Some of us forget things.
Had this when I was first elected.
We were trying to work on it way before you were elected,
We wanted it.
right?
Waiting for it since
That's
2011.
That's true. You started it.
2011.
This is one of the first things we did too.
Yes, it
One
was.
of these.
Yes, it was.
Yep. So anyways, questions? Anyone?
No, actually,
mean-
Oh, I see them.
Is that why you gave me a look?
I'm leaving.
we were supposed to send it and staff all of our ideas and suggestions, and then they were to incorporate them.
That was last time.
What last time? This is the first time we've seen it.
This one.
This is the first time we've seen this.
She's talking about the development when we had our workshop.
This is so old that half the staff is missing, and we got half new
Yeah,
staff.
right.
We'll have to update that.
This is a living document, just so we're clear.
It's breathing literally right now as we speak.
Okay, so literally, here's what the problem is.
Stop
If you're
saying
gonna
this.
go through every single one of those tabs, then we need to make a special meeting. Because that right there is gonna be about 2 hours.
I just wanted
I'm
to,
dead serious.
I just wanted to scare you, that's all.
Well, you're doing a darn good job.
That's for my reference.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see they're color coded.
They are.
And you're working off orange.
Well, that's because I
Paying
ran out of my
attention.
yellow tabs.
Oh, great.
So I had to go to orange.
There's no coordination. No.
Would you like some orange tabs? We got yellow, got orange, red.
No, I'm good.
You give her tabs, I will break your arms.
Knock you out. She's serious business over here. That's why I stay quiet.
Baseball bat and a taser over there.
Right over there.
Seriously, I will get with staff as far as Scrivener. Okay? Which is most of that. Huh? But I do have a question for the city manager.
Okay.
Who's coming?
What?
Go ahead.
Well, there's no page numbers.
Scrivener's error.
Add page numbers.
Okay, wait a minute, maybe. Hold on.
I'm looking.
It's
I've
up,
got
it's
page
up in the
numbers
very top corner.
Top left.
Yeah. Page 11. It says Commissioner and Candidate Tutorial Video Resources. Was that intentional to put candidates? And is this going to be available on the website for those in particular that might be looking to be a candidate?
Well, that was part of our discussion, was that a candidate could get a commission handbook. That way they had an idea of what their entire duty was. And that would also include those candidate videos from like Florida League of Cities, some different places where they,
Well, that they have something specific.
not
for-
FLC, but I do think
candidates.
there's, like, I know that in the past, and I'm going way back now, Sarasota
age
County
yourself.
used to do, like, I know, Sarasota County used to do, parliamentary procedure stuff, and you could go online and do the videos, and so kind of that stuff.
I think maybe it would be better to give it to once the candidate has been elected, in between the election day and the date that they get sworn, to get this and read it over. I
Might scare people away.
Well, I think
Give it to them ahead
people,
of time, it definitely will.
yeah, but people need to know what they're getting into
Exactly.
instead of saying it's part-time.
Exactly. So,
I agree with that, too.
They gotta know.
city manager, was that,
The question of whether or not it was planned to put on the website,
no.
but we do plan
Commis-
to,
It says
commissioner and candidate? Yes,
and
that was, because that was
candidates.
in the direction that was originally given when this was brought
Okay.
forward.
Okay.
By the way, you can't see commission on the front page with that white on white. Just throwing that out there. Kind of annoying. Mine is half, look at mine, half white, half blue.
Oh,
Isn't that
you have a
wild?
different copy than I do.
Yeah, I know. Story of my
How'd you get
life.
that?
It's online version.
It might be with changes that were suggested. Maybe
I don't
that's
even
where
know.
changes are suggested, copy.
So are you talking about referring to where that came from?
Yeah, because my cover looks like this, and the online version looks different, so I'm just wondering if,
Online.
I don't think they changed.
anyhow.
Okay, what else you got?
What else I got is on page 13,
Okay, hold on.
and hopefully it's not changed since
I honestly don't think anything changed.
I wasn't aware that there would have been any. Okay,
12. Okay. I'm
okay.
gonna wait for it to load. All right, go.
Okay, so it starts out talking about the Florida League of Cities and the policy committees. Then it jumps to National League of Cities, then it goes back to Florida League of Cities. Just maybe
Putting them together.
reverse those paragraphs. And then that would allow the room underneath the National League of Cities to put likewise, just like Florida League of Cities, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 7 policy committees. And then like the Youth and Family Council, which I think would be beneficial to
Absolutely.
put in there. And that's just a minor change. And also, what wasn't mentioned in here is the National League of Cities does 2 conferences, just like Florida League of Cities. One is the Congressional Conference, and the Congress of Cities has now been changed to the City Summit. So.
Okay, so what I have, just to summarize, page 13, we need to have Florida League and National League together, organized together, and clarify conferences. And there was something else.
Add the committees.
And add committees. Okay, next.
Including the council, Youth and Family Council.
Well, they could get with you on that one.
Okay.
Yeah. I just put add committees.
Okay. The other just point of reference, I guess I would say, there's probably a whole bunch of things that could be added to this, and we'd have, 500 page book. Yeah. But,
We'd have to rewrite again.
I think staff did a really good job at
Oh,
taking the commission's
God bless them.
notes, and I think, thank the commission very much for going through this and putting this together, and it'll just keep getting better and better as we get the input of new candidates or newly elected officials. But the travel and vehicle policy, Article 2, Division 1, it's on page 49. I just wanted to point out that there's no specific reference to Article 2, Division 1 in our city administrative code, which specifically applies to commissioners. So,
Wait, what, page 16?
page 49,
Gosh,
how'd you get 16?
I don't know.
49,
Think.
and it looks like what's been done is the city's personnel policy, which is this, and specifically excludes elected
Commissioners.
officials. I think there's some pieces that have been taken from this, as well as then the section in the administrative code that deals with general employees' travel.
That's what she's saying, is that the travel that for general employees is different than the travel for elected officials.
Yeah.
And so what happened is that the travel for general employees was basically copy and pasted into this. And it needs to be corrected. Am I correct?
What applies to the employees does by administrative, though it doesn't apply according to this policy.
Well, nobody
It does
approved
apply
that.
by no, the commission did not approve the latest updates. Or
Well, there is
forward.
no updates.
There have been.
There was
And the
in
commission-
2009.
The commission used to have to approve
Yes.
that.
Yes.
But that
Yes.
changed by the previous administrator.
Well, I don't know how, because we are policymakers, so.
Point of it is
Point of it is.
that stuff was taken from here, as well as our administrative code that deals with the travel expenses. And that's fine, but I think it's important to put the part, Article 2, Division 1, that applies specifically to commissioners.
Which is what?
To add that. I'm sorry?
Which is what?
Oh,
What
it
is
has-
Article 2,
Yeah, okay, it
Division
has-
1?
It has to do with its commission travel. We have our own section in the administrative code. That's where our meeting procedures and all of that is. So there's a provision in there that specifically mentions travel. So for example, use of city vehicles, if you read what's in this manual,
It's not the same.
it says that you cannot do that, not unless you get the city manager's permission.
And that's
Article
not true.
2, Division 1 specifically has in there that commissioners can take the vehicles outside.
This was approved by us.
It's been amended past that.
Well,
That's
I don't
old.
know what's,
That's old.
then it's not legal, but anyway.
Anyways, I think that particular area.
I think you ought to
is-
take the entire travel part out and just refer to Article 2, Division 1.
Division 1 for the commissioners and
Yep.
the city travel policy as the forms and stuff still apply to us.
I think there needs to be a travel section in describing what is allowed. Looking at what's on page 50, I think it is, it says here, for example, all out-of-state travel must be authorized by the city manager. That's not true. Correct. Number 4, no expenses in Sarasota or Charlotte County can be reimbursed unless approved by city manager. That's not true. So I think the travel section just needs to be really looked at from a commission's perspective and tweaked, but I definitely think that the travel section needs to stay in there so that our incoming elected officials know that there is travel and these are the parameters and this is what applies for commissioners.
So Commissioner, if I'm hearing you right, though, I'm going to remove the travel reimbursement policies and procedures and the use of city vehicles, which are referenced in the employee guidelines, and replace it with the administrative
Hold on.
code, Article 2, Division 1, that relates to commissioners, that also references use of vehicles. So I don't want it to be confusing for an incoming person if one policy says one thing.
Right.
So I'm just going to take that out and replace it
With the
with-
Article
with
2,
the Article 2,
Division 1.
Division 1, that relates just to the
Yep.
commission.
And honestly,
I'll
on the
just do
things
that.
to do, put in your book, we really need to get that clarified.
Say that again?
We really need to have the policy, if we're gonna refer to personnel policies, which by the way, to me, this is the only one that was actually approved by the commission. This is the only one that exists, okay, to me. And if we're gonna refer to personnel policies for the commission, it needs to be in here, it needs to be clarified, and it needs to be up to date. And so that needs to be on the list of things to do. So put that down.
Say that
Huh?
But you just not to refer to personnel
Yeah.
policy because it doesn't apply. to
Right,
the
that's not.
Exactly.
Well, that's what we were just saying. Yeah.
So the travel section needs to be in there because there are certain things that we have to do for travel.
Yes, because it's in the city code.
Correct. So whatever
Well-
it applies for us as commission
Not really.
needs to be in the travel policy in the book. So that way then the newly elected official knows that there is a travel policy, knows what they have to do to get travel reimbursed and have something in there for commission, not employee.
So can we just
I
simplify
think-
it?
Well, I
and-
think one of the challenges here is that, and I've been saying it for 8 years, is that our city administrative code is so antiquated and out of date, and things do need to be fixed. I mean, you know, yes, ULDC, but I think we lost sight of the whole city administrative code getting up to date.
We're supposed to be doing them both together.
I know, but 8 years?
No.
Because this is something that was brought up a long time ago. But here's the thing, is section 2-162A is our city code. And we can't just say it doesn't apply to us, because it does apply to us. But we've put a practice and procedure in place, particularly in the commission, for the commission, because of what Article 2, Section Division 1 says. And so I think it's better to refer to Article 2, Division 1, and then go in and explain, not cut and paste, exactly what that procedure is that we do. Because at the end of the day, what we do, I just want to emphasize, does meet this, but not in the order, or, because it is approved by the city manager. I mean, I know
Yeah, he has to
every
sign the
single
little
travel has
travel
to go to the
thingy, yeah.
finance, then has to go to city manager, then it comes back down to the clerk's office.
And again, where is that written that that's the way it has to be?
Because what happened was practices were established, followed, and
Again,
Yep.
where did the commission approve that?
I hear you.
So do we want to
So
get
it's
a
not
quick-
legal.
Can we get a quick consensus
Don't
there
get
to
it.
have city manager review the employee handbook and update it and get commission approval?
I think we are, I
That's
think the
separate
city
project.
manager and the assistant city manager has already made a suggestion, and that is to just refer in page 50 to Article 2, Division 1, fix that section to realistically only reflect the commission travel that's already
Correct.
in place.
Right,
That
what we
was
did.
approved.
Yeah.
And remove the rest, and then we will deal with policy at some point
Okay.
and making sure that we
I'm
as a
gonna-
commission
I'm
review
going
that
to
policy.
remove use of vehicles as well. I'll remove that as well.
Yep.
Travel and.
Yeah, because that's
Yeah, that's still-
particularly the
Okay, once again,
conflicting language.
Once again.
Can I ask a quick question?
Mm-hmm.
So the personnel policy manual that you're saying needs to be approved by commission,
Mm-hmm.
they're not our personnel, so wouldn't the city manager just take care of that?
We're in
handbook?
charge of legislation, policy,
But we're not in
and
charge
that
of
is
the employee.
policy.
Okay.
That's how
I'm
we
just
have
kinda wondering.
always approved it.
I just thought of it and wanted to get.
And I get that there's a conflict of opinion there, but
Yeah, because that's his
I would say
employees.
if you want to govern the commission's travel policy, that you could adopt a commission travel policy and approve that.
I don't think we can touch employee policy.
oh, I know
I
we
think
can. We did it for 50 years.
I'm just concerned
Thank you.
because
But we are the people who approve policy.
Well,
We're the
except
policy
administrative,
makers.
except
I'll have to read it in
administrative.
the charter, because I
Policy
believe the
meeting's
charter
not-
said legislation is what we're over, so I'd have to double check.
And also policy meaning established policy at the high level. Administrative policies do not require commission approval.
But this is the high level. The administrative policy.
No policy is not high level.
But the administrative policy is how he handles that policy. That's how we've been told.
I would disagree.
I just don't want to get us into trouble. That's why I asked the question.
We've been there.
Sounds like a conversation that you all need to have at some point.
Listen to you all. Keep it up. Okay, so I think it sounds like they've got an idea on the page 50. All right, next, because now we're at 9:30.
Yeah, I think that was really the only two big things I needed to have conversation with the commission on.
Okay,
The other ones are Scrivener, so.
praise God.
um,
All right, anyone else? Commissioner
And
McDowell?
like I said, there's things that can always be added in the future.
Okay.
I already asked my question,
You
if
already
we can, if we can give him direction about employee handbook.
Gotcha. Okay, so we have two suggestions that it sounds like nobody has opposition to. One of them is to clarify page 13, having the organization of Florida League and National League references together, making sure that there's the appropriate conferences, and to add the specific committees. The other thing is to have page 50, article, refer to Article 2, Division 1, and not the employee policy, as it refers to travel. So, seeing no other types of suggested changes, do we need a motion? I would assume.
Move to approve the commission handbook with the stated changes as stated by, or with the changes as stated by the mayor.
I hit your button.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, so it's moved by Commissioner Luke, seconded by Commissioner McDowell. Anything to that? Vice Mayor, I'm sorry, it's moved by Vice Mayor. I'm getting tired now.
That's okay, I didn't hear what you said.
I said Commissioner Luke. That's all right. I called city attorney and city manager, assistant city managers all day long when we did that radio station. It was funny. I demoted them both in one fell swoop. Okay, go ahead.
I just think that, with those minor changes, because we've taken a whole piece out there and just referring and putting that short section in, that this is ready to go, and we've got an election going on now, so it should be ready for that time period. And then beyond that, I think, again, it's a work in progress.
Absolutely.
So, for further defining the travel policy and things like that, and after this motion, I do, Mayor, have something I wanted to see if we can get a consensus on. But thank you for the work on this, and Carrie, I know you did quite a bit of work on this, so. And thank you, Commissioner. Waiting.
Commissioner McDowell, you're second, yep.
I just want to say thank you. This has been a long time coming, and I can tell that there was a lot of work put into it. There's a lot of stuff in there that I think will be very helpful for the new candidates / newly elected officials to be able to use. I also think it would be a very good tool if we get like a new director or any other. It's a tool that can be used not just by the elected people or candidates, but by your staff that might prove to be helpful too. Just throwing it out there, maybe each of the charter officers might want to get it if they're new, so that way then they know how we work. So I hope that it will be used as a good tool for everybody, not just us.
And I'm real excited because if Commissioner Luke wins this election, she'll have something to get started on. And she'll be able to learn that a bit before she gets started.
I need to
Literally
go
just gonna
through the
say that.
learning
I
curve
was.
here.
Before she gets started, she won't have that same curve we had.
I was gonna say, could you print that out so I can make a choice whether I want to be here or not, just so I know now what it's actually about? That's funny. Honestly, staff, you did a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
A phenomenal job. And I say that
Absolutely.
because trying to figure out what our workshop is said and put that all in one book was like herding cats. So I just want to say,
Oh, I promise you, we were all over the place.
seriously, kudos.
We were all over the
Kudos to
place.
you. I would, that's probably why it took so long, because no one wanted to touch it. It's kind of like that dirty room that, dang, the in-laws are coming. Okay. Yeah, the garage that I just touched in 2 years. So, yeah, that's the point, is that you guys did a great job, and we appreciate it. And I think that this is going to help not only those who are in the immediate future, but definitely for years to come, because as Vice Mayor said, that this is definitely something that will last the test of time, and it'll be changed all the time. So let's go ahead and vote. Another comment. By all means, make one more comment.
Well, I just,
I'm just missing one. I'm missing one comment.
this one.
Just one.
One more.
And that, just because this goes back, like I said, to when I was first elected in 2010. And when I came in and everything was just like scatter all over the place and being pulled in a zillion different directions. But I just wanted to really give kudos again to the former administrator, the former city manager, Jonathan Lewis, in expressing to him my experience. There was no city manager when I came on board, and when he came in and explained to him that experience, and he jumped right on it. It's just that from there, after he had put that together, it never got to the commission. There were commission changes and so on. So I just wanted to say that was the first that we had of it, and I really appreciated that he got that ball rolling to get something in place. So, and
And it was like 5 pages.
what's that?
It was like 5 pages.
Well, yeah, and it started.
Had
and it got
something,
tweaked,
yeah.
But, when our administrators listen to, the feedback we give them, that was a perfect example in trying to make it better for those coming after. So I just wanted to say that.
Okay. Now you done?
I'm done.
All right. Let's go ahead and vote. We only have 2 meetings left, so we got to pick on her all weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, it's unanimous.
It's a free-for-all now.
That's right.
Yeah.
She wrote.
Okay, I just would like to see if I can get a consensus from the commission, and I do realize, I mean, it's totally up to you folks, because I'm certainly not going to be able to be part of the conversation from this side of things. But when you look at this personnel policy, there's a lot of things that are covered in here that are excluded from, commissioners are right in the front, don't apply to commissioners. And I think there are various aspects of this that should apply to commissioners. And that comes from experience. And, you know, what I experienced as an elected official, and maybe others in the past, I don't know, but, you know, I just truly believe that maybe you can have a workshop conversation about having, you know, kind of a code of ethics for our commissioners, our elected officials, possibly even, and I know it's been mentioned to me before, that that there may be even a board, like, you know, some kind of a advisory board. No, an advisory board that people can go to. I mean, I can tell you that for a commissioner, no commissioner should ever go through abuse, hostile work environment, or things that our employees are protected from. But you, as an elected official, try and find help. And there's nothing that you know, could be applied. So it's kind of like self-disciplining. And because there is nothing, it almost condones behavior because there's nothing you can do about it. But if there is something, even if it's just a public conversation about the issues that gets vetted, and, you know, some type of a public reprimand by the commission or what have you, yeah, we don't have the ability to remove elected officials, but our employees, our charter officers, our, you know, everybody, even each other, should not be subjected to, you know, things that as a regular employee would never be tolerated. And it just, I think, would help everybody in creating that professional
Are you talking
atmosphere.
about?
I'm sorry?
From who would I be abused?
Each other.
Commissioner.
Each other. And
Another
she's talking
commissioner.
about.
And
I
you
thought
go,
were talking about the public. What am I going to do about that?
no.
I got news for you. There's nothing you can
This
do
won't be-
about
this won't
being
be.
abused by another commissioner either.
Yeah.
Other than if you have guidelines that you all are going by and you're violating that, you know that's going to be a public conversation. You don't have to worry about it because it is going to be a public conversation. And so what are the repercussions of that? Well, the public conversation, because it's the public that holds
You can have a
their
public
issues.
conversation without that in writing. Honestly, it's like writing a code that can't be upheld. I mean, you know, the only thing that can happen is state statute can create something. That's the people who regulate us. It's not our own policies and procedures. It's
something
the
that
state statute that regulates us.
But
And
it
it's-
fits into what one of our citizens brought up during the charter review,
And ethics,
public.
yeah.
And she was talking about, I believe, more of the ethical, that if you have a commissioner that is being unethical, where do you go? What do you do
The
about
Ethics
that?
Commission,
Yeah.
Well,
Pardon?
the Ethics Commission, there's laws. We are regulated by laws.
and I can tell you,
The laws
It's
don't
not
protect
working.
us. I
It's
agree
not
with
working.
you. The laws do not protect
Nor
us. They
does
don't
it
protect
protect our
any
charter
elected
officers.
official. I agree with you.
or employees, directors.
But putting a false piece of information in policy is not going to help because there's no teeth in it. You want to do something, call your elected officials and tell them to fix it up in Tallahassee, because it does need to be fixed. I agree with you. Not just on the people that serve with you on a board, but the people out there in public who constantly put violations on you just because they don't like you.
Yeah.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. But I just can't see spending that much time, staff money. You want to add a little blurb into the commission handbook that says, we did it back in the day, we put it on here, you know, not only will the people be, you know, respect us, we'll respect each other. It was all due to a similar situation.
It was
Put a
just-
blurb
just-
in
just
the
a thought.
handbook.
Just a
I
thought.
You know?
that transparency pledge.
Yeah.
I would gladly sign a pledge to be ethical, to do.
How about respectful?
Exactly.
Because that's really what it's about.
Exactly.
I'm just
Yes.
trying to get
And I got
something that
no
we.
problem of discussing that, in a workshop, whatever, because I
Right.
think there should be honor in these positions.
And honor for
Respect.
each other,
Respect,
respect for each
yes.
other, respect for the charter.
So-
You can't bully charter officers, you can't bully our employees, you can't bully another commissioner. It's a code of behavior, code of conduct.
And I think that should be the last page in your commission handbook that says not only have you read this handbook front to back, but that you promise not to do those things. And you have them sign it and put it in their personnel file.
And then call the code of
Single one
ethics
of
when
us
they
does.
violate it.
And that's like right in here, standard of conduct. We expect all of our employees
Exactly,
to
yes.
go by this. I'm just trying to make it even, equal,
I get you.
So,
It's just, I
um,
think it's just a lot of time for something that can't be, it's like making a rule, you're not allowed to have, I don't know, purple dogs in your house and
Well, I
there's
think it
nothing that
depends
says
upon
you
how
can-
much you
I don't
value-
know. I didn't want to say.
I think it depends upon how much a person values a pledge, because somebody can pledge for the transparency and then still violate it, and it's, oh, no big deal, I signed a pledge, big deal. Well, they don't honor and respect their word.
And there's also the pledge from the First Amendment Foundation. So those are the types of things that I'm talking about. Just an idea, maybe at some point, when you make tweaks or you can address something and also give consideration to like having the ethics, some kind of an ethics board here in the city. I think that would be
Well,
greatly
now I think
appreciated.
you're pushing it. I'll go with the paper and the handbook, but I'm not developing a board to be stacked with people who don't like you, because that's what happens. Just saying. Huh?
Just some food for
But
thought.
yeah. Anyone? Anything? No?
I threw the
Okay.
idea out, maybe at some point any of you can.
I think
Move it
Commissioner
forward.
McDowell put it on her list. She's our secretary at this point now. Right.
Commission?
Not board.
Not, yeah, and not just for commission.
Or like rules. Or, what was the word?
More of a code of conduct for
Code
commission.
of conduct that's signed.
Oh, pledge.
Thank you. Pledge, that's the word. Okay, now I really gotta get up. Okay, folks, we only got a little bit to do, so let's take 10 minutes. Thank you, stenographer, you're doing a very good job.
So is this something city manager's going to be working on, or?
I think we will have to come circle back around
Yeah.
and determine a day and, do a
Like an agenda
workshop.
item or
Yeah,
workshop?
Yeah,
Just an idea to
Yeah.
maybe that you folks can have that
The
conversation.
only reason why I'm asking is if it's something city manager does, it goes on one list. If it's something we're doing, it goes on another.
No, it's something we're doing. It's the we're doing list. Yes. Okay. Every, good? Okay. 10 minutes, folks. And then we can
City manager.
finalize this thing.
For breakfast, it's a
I will. I'm gonna need
salted
it.
caramels
I'm gonna need you. Okay.
for you.
All right, we're so close, so close.
Yet so far.
D, murals for the Community Education Center. I can't even say it at this time. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. This was actually put on by Commissioner Luke, related to murals at the Community Education Center. It was presented to our Art Advisory Board for their approval and comments. As you see, there are 3 murals attached, and kind of looking for, what's being asked for is permission for a volunteer to paint the mural on the Community Education Center at which provides the entrance to the Salvation Army, and 2 murals on the backside of the Senior Center. Like I said, there's pictures attached.
Luke, did you have anything to add to that?
The board of the senior center all approved it, and I took it before the art advisory board here in the city, and they approved. They loved the artisticness of the pictures. The senior centers wanted something to do with ping pong and card play, and that's why she came up with those 2. Salvation Army wanted something in regards to the food bank, because they give food. Now, the only thing that, we need to approve these, but also in the code that you'll find attached also, it talks about placing murals where the front entrance is not, which is fine. It's the back that we're being talked about. But is that okay that it's on the side where the Salvation Army is? Just want to make sure there's an okay from everybody for that interpretation also.
Can before we get too involved, my concern, I love mural 1 and 2. The Salvation Army one, however, I don't believe should be put up there, because as I understand it, they're leaving. And they're going to build their own Salvation Army building, or try to find a building. And so my fear is we spend all this money, or even the volunteer hours, to put that mural up, and then they leave, and then it doesn't relate to anything that goes in there. So that's my only concern. Other than that, I love it. Commissioner McDowell.
So when you say it's going to be on the front of the building, are you talking about the park?
It's not going to be on the front.
Where is it going to be then?
The back.
Okay. So when you say the back, are you talking the parking lot walls, or are you talking about frontage of Pan American?
That's the front. The back is the
I just
parking
want
lot.
to clarify where this is going, so.
So look,
Yeah.
this was going to be
Parking
the
lot side or Pan
parking
American
lot
side? That's all I
side.
needed.
Well, no, because look, on the side right here was going to be where the
Salvation Army.
Yeah.
So they're going to paint all 3 of them? Is
She
that?
was willing to do so, but if you guys don't want anything on the Salvation Army side, that's up to you. I don't know how quickly Salvation Army was going to be doing that. I was in that meeting also when he was talking about it, but I don't know when that would come about. So up to you guys whether you want her to utilize her time doing that or not.
It sounded to me like they were in the process of negotiating for a building. They couldn't give too much detail, only because the last negotiation fell through. And they kind of had a fear of saying too much, but it did sound like it was moving forward.
So while I don't have any further questions on it, I can formulate this next statement in a question.
Good.
Okay. So I like the designs. It's not what I was expecting. When I think of mural, I think of Punta Gorda Historical Society murals. This is a far cry from that. I put some together if you want to see.
You would have to pay for something like that?
And I
Yeah.
understand that, But if she's going to do 3 of them, maybe she could do one big one on that parking lot side that is more reflective of the era, because that's what I thought we had talked about, was the era of the people using the senior center.
That was one of the things that was discussed, but when I sat with them, that was what they wanted to see, the activities that they actually do. They wanted that to be displayed, not an era of the 40s, 50s, 60s, or that. They wanted to show the activities that they do. This is a volunteer that's doing it freely.
No, I
And
understand.
this is her artistic expression. The art center absolutely loved it because of the artistic design to it. They just thought it was, incredible. The senior center, they wanted more like people or actually playing ping pong and stuff like that is what they were thinking. But that is something to get that detailed into something, you're going to be paying for it. And this is something that she volunteers, and it is beautiful work. She does beautiful work. She's the one that did the things over at the Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah, and I've seen the work done, I want to pass it down this way too. I've seen the work done at the Boys and Girls Club, so I was thinking more of a scene, not just a picture. So that's why I was disappointed in the selection. I like the art. I appreciate her doing it at no charge, but it's not quite what I was anticipating or expecting. That's all. I was looking for more of a story, a mural. To me, a mural is telling a story, not just a picture of a single kind of item. So I'm just sharing that.
Theoretically, a mural should just be a consistent painting, maybe including interconnecting all
Yeah.
those. But Vice Mayor, you have your light on.
And I guess, with the word mural, that similarly, that's what came to my mind is more of a scenic type of thing. And I understand that could be, that would be expensive to have to pay for that. The other thing in looking at this, and we get the advisory board minutes, and I didn't see whether they voted or approved for these images. I only saw that it came up for conversation. So I just don't want to have the impression that they did vote and approve specifically these images, thinking that, and then later on that it would come up that they didn't take a position on it. So
We can go back.
So-
City manager was in the meeting also, so we can go back and address
Yeah.
minute meetings and stuff.
And unfortunately, the liaison was not there for me to talk to because the minutes many a times will not include, but if the board takes action, it's supposed to include that. And I tried to get with the city manager before this meeting just to get some background, but he's not been, he's been in meetings upon meetings upon meetings, so.
I know they all said that they liked it. I don't know if it was an official motion that went in, but I know they all said that they liked it.
They did all say they liked it, but I don't believe that they voted on anything.
I don't think it was a formal yes, no, yay, nay type of thing. It was them all stating yes. They went around the table, yes, I like it, but it wasn't.
So it sounds to me like we really need to table this item, because I have to agree with both Commissioner McDowell and and vice mayor, I really was looking for some sort of scenic type painting. And I gotta be honest with you, where's the seniors? It's a senior center. Shouldn't there be like some sort of
They
pictures of
they were
seniors?
here, but they couldn't stay all
No,
night
no, I
long.
meant on the mural. Like,
Right.
it should have people. It should have the people
Well, there's no
playing.
sense in tabling it because she's for free not gonna do something that detailed, so I'll just get in
But
touch with her and let her know
didn't
it's a no.
But didn't we set aside money for this, I thought?
No.
I think the idea was that we were going to pay for the paint if the artist was going to
Just
do
pay for the paint. I mean, but that time is way more than paint.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I wasn't looking for something exactly like this. I was just bringing this as an example as the
Well, if it's not
scenicness.
something that you want, you don't want it, I'll just tell her no.
Yeah, I don't know, instead of doing three
I
different
don't
ones,
know.
maybe she can do one.
That's kind of what I was thinking is,
There's
you know,
one,
you
instead
put,
of, I'm
but you're only
envisioning
talking
them
about
being
two
small.
pictures, so,
Maybe she can do like one large one?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It went through the art center, the advisory art board, and the senior centers. And so all of those people said yes. So if
And
it's not what these 5 want, then I'll just tell her no. And it can be brought up some other
Fortunately,
time.
when I talked to the people that I know at the senior center,
They
they really
didn't
weren't
like
too.
it, yeah.
They were, okay.
Yeah,
It
they
wasn't like,
wanted
yeah, that's great.
Because they understood it was
free.
free.
Right.
It was a volunteer doing
Oh,
something.
and I am so grateful for that. Don't misunderstand me.
I cannot go back to her and ask her to change and do something detailed, and it wouldn't be right to do to somebody who's volunteering their artistry.
Right.
So,
Vice Mayor, you have your light on?
Yeah, I'm going to test your memory here, but
Oh, God.
you remember Pat Mumper?
Yes.
Okay.
She's part of the art board.
Yeah, but I think there was a time, and this goes back probably 8-9 years, that I think the senior center had wanted, or the art center had wanted a mural, and she had done a mural up. Was that something we still maybe even have? And I guess because I had that previous knowledge that when the subject came up, that's probably one of the
You were looking
reasons
at.
of what I was envisioning.
It was part of an agenda item, so I would think so.
And I don't know, maybe it's something that we can, get the kids involved, and hopefully you'll have the youth board coming on board soon. But just to have more of that interaction, and if we want to dress up our buildings and have a mural, and maybe approach it that way.
How big were these going to be, do you know? Because I obviously I have an 8.5 by 11. How big are they? Did she say?
they were going to be a mural size on the side of each side of the door.
Probably like a 12 by 12. Well,
It was
I
going to
mean,
expand more than, a panel. She was looking at the ridges where the metal went together and how to get it across because they're 3D images.
I do think that this is something that our art board has to absolutely approve once we do have some. I mean, this is a painting that's gonna tell the story of what happens inside that building, and I hate to put something on there that was just put on there because it was free. I guess is what I'm trying to get at. They deserve better than that, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. They really do. I mean, there should be something. If they wanted pictures of people playing cards, they wanted pictures of people playing ping pong and, just dancing and have it all one scene, well, then there's got to be someone in the high school, there's got to be someone in the art center, we have so many artistic people in this city that would be willing to help with that,
I can draw a mean cowboy hat.
Can you?
Yeah.
I can draw a stick figure.
I was gonna say, I'm real good at the stick figure. So,
It might even be something that, community artists can get together, and that's where if we have a concept or something, then maybe bringing all of the local artists, including her, that will do a little part.
A little bit of everything.
Together to make this scenery. I don't know, maybe that's a idea.
An idea, yep.
Well, at this point, I'll just tell her it's a no, and the commission can discuss what they want to do at a later point in time then.
I appreciate the efforts, and especially of hers, in
Yeah.
drawing these up. I mean, I am grateful.
She's an extremely busy businesswoman.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she was really sacrificing her time to even, volunteer this. So
Appreciate it.
it will free her time up.
And my apologies if I wasn't clear in what I was kind of looking for, and
Well, I think everybody has their own ideas
course.
of what
a mural is.
what they
want to-
envision.
Right.
I mean, and that's why art is so unique.
Yeah.
Everybody envisions something different. And so I just let
So
it
maybe
go.
we
officially
need,
say it's not my cup of tea. I didn't envision anything. I appreciate what you brought.
I appreciate her. She's
So-
done a lot for the city.
Oh, yeah,
And
absolutely.
and her pictures were really cool.
so what if we did something where we held a community meeting with, say, the senior center, education center, and the art board, and the Northport Arts Center? If we as a city sponsored that, similar to how we organized apparently you can't
That's one
hear.
thing I shouldn't be messing with.
Story of my life. You know how we went around and we did neighborhood meetings and we had, oh man, you really broke it. We had, like, Aaron Bryce had gone and had all these community members get together, and then they kind of did an envision of the economic development of the city. Something like that, but if you add the art center, the advisory board, as well as the senior center, and maybe even the art classes of the high school, and you put all of them together to come up with something that represents that senior/community center as a full-fledged mural versus pieces. What if we, as a city, sponsored something like that, an event like that? You know, this way the users have firsthand input, and they can even go in there and say, you know, if money was not a limit, because that's what they did, you know, if money was no option, what is the ultimate thing you'd like to see as a mural on here? And now, you know, if you had to reduce it, what would it be? That kind of thing.
I think that, certainly that kind of engagement, involvement is good. And I think, we should, and especially with the art board that we have. So, just looking at all the things we have on our plate this year, and obviously there's budgetary impacts to what we're talking about, and not only that, staff time and resources in doing that, that's probably something that, as we get other things done that are priorities, that we consider doing moving forward.
Well, this would be our community outreach coordinator doing it, as that's what they were supposed to be doing. And since we need to still hire one, I would say that's what so it's going to be down the road.
Right.
But,
We have somebody in that position. Just Ms. Bryce left the Parks and Rec department, but we still have community outreach people.
but do they organize little, we were talking about organizing like a little, what's the word I'm looking for?
Mini town hall, but with selected people.
Charrettes. You know, a charrette, are you listening?
Sure.
I'm gonna call your wife, seriously, keep it up.
Not me.
A charrette, where we have, you know, all the different, what do you call it? Art center, art board, maybe the artists from the high school, artists from, I don't know. And then you put them all together, and the seniors, you know, and then have someone from the city, the community outreach coordinator, turn around and say, okay, you know, the commission envisions a mural that takes up this whole space. Now, if money was not an option, what would you like to see? Throw it all out there. And then if money isn't, you know, and then if you have to take some away, what, you know, something to that degree.
Yes, we can certainly put that together.
Couldn't you do something to where, you know, initially you might do like a call to artists and put it on our social media and website where we can say that the commission is looking for a mural for this building, and, you know, people can submit different ideas, and then you have something to start with. And
But that's what that
When you-
charrette was supposed to be, the call to have those who are local, who know what that building's about, who know what it's used for, to come up with the idea of what it should look like. And then the second step would be to call out artists to say, look, we're looking for a group effort. You know, you can break it down in panels.
Would you want more of, like, at the charrette one, more of theme ideas where they would gather all the interested parties, like you're saying, the seniors and other people? These are the themes we're looking at. Then you
Right.
put that out as a call to artists. Here's the selected themes to choose from. What would you know, what can you do?
I'd also like to have some kind of a cost, you know, like the ones that I passed out, obviously there's a cost associated with it from the Punta Gorda Historical Society. Maybe if we can get an idea of how big was it, how much did it cost, that kind of thing too, so that way then we can start planning it for next year's budget.
Yes.
Or maybe it's gonna still be free. I don't know, I just to kind of get an idea between no holds barred, no limit on costs versus, hey, this is gonna cost $3,000.
But you'd have to determine what it is that you're looking at, what the idea is, and
Right.
what the, you know, what kind of mural you're talking about and the detail. And then, you know, you first try to get the different artists to take a panel of it. You know, you break it up into, say, 6 panels, and you say, you know, you have free advertisement on the bottom by putting your name, you know, essentially. Or they can even design it so that it's in several different panels, and that, so for instance, where's your little pictures? If you look at your little pictures, you could pretty much just break the ones with the 3, I don't know who they were, but you could break up the 3 people's faces, you know, and maybe you could do the same thing. You see what I'm saying? You could break up faces into panels, but you could do the same thing with action. So, I mean, there's several different ways to do it. It's just a matter of getting what it is that they want, you know, city clerk?
Is the commission wanting to be part of this for
Not
notice
me.
purposes?
Oh, I think
I'll
that it's
go.
up to them.
I'll go, I just won't, I'll be a fly on the wall.
So, do we have a consensus to have the city organize kind of a meeting of the minds in all things art and try to determine what they can put on the back of this building that represents the building as a
Yes.
whole?
Yes.
And you've got an idea of what it is that we want? Okay, I'm a yes, yes. Commissioner?
fine.
Yes, okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Luke, for your
Thank you,
efforts.
Commissioner Luke.
And please thank her
Yes.
as
What
well.
I'm doing right now.
Okay, moving on. Appointment of city clerk. Who shall we choose?
It should actually say city clerk contract.
Yeah, it should, but it's all right.
What?
Should actually say city clerk contract.
There's a contract in there.
All right.
You want me to start?
I don't have any lights on, so somebody start.
All right. So city manager, can you help me understand why it increased almost just over $1,400 from our last
Yes, ma'am.
appointment when we made her interim city clerk to now?
I certainly can. During the meeting, one of the things I stated to you is that historically, the city clerk has been in the director's pay grade. At which point you all asked what the base of that pay grade was. Well, that was October 1st. And I looked it up as of that day. Problem is that pay grade changed by 1.5% on that day because the commission, as part of what they did with all of the pay grades, is put a COLA in effect that adjusted all of the pay grades by 1.5% automatically on October 1. That had not changed in the system at that point in time, so the number I had changed. So the base of the director's pay grade actually went up 1.5%, and since that's historically where that position has sat, that's what I did.
Thank you for that explanation. And I'm not sure who would be able to answer this question, but in section 6, it says that she will obtain or attain her IIMC. Is that something that needs to be maintained? Like every year you have to pay these dues, or every year you have to do 5 hours of continuing ed to uphold that certification? That I don't know, because all it's saying is you have to obtain and or attain, but nothing about maintaining that certification.
I do not know what the requirements are of that. I'll defer that actually to the city clerk.
There are dues that have to be paid every year. Once you obtain it, there is not any like continuing education requirements. Once you have it, you have it.
Okay, so there's nothing to maintain.
Correct.
It's, you have it, you're done. Gotcha. Except for your dues.
Right.
And
To
that-
maintain my membership.
So to pay the dues for IIMC, is that something you personally have to pay, or is that something the city pays?
The city.
Okay, well, I just want to make sure. Because that's part of maintaining it, so just want to make sure. Thank you.
Okay, Vice Mayor.
Fortunately, I'm trying to work through this email because I believe I did receive an email and questions that I had asked on this. And I did have the same question in regards to the salary, going to the 97,000. And many times it is a problem of, well, historically, because that's the way we've always done things. And, you know, the charter officer positions, we've said it before, it's different than the compensation study. And the compensation study gave us some ideas of some of those salaries, but we as a commission did not formally adopt what we're doing for our charter officers, who are all contract employees. And so we didn't even go down that road yet. As far as saying that the deputy clerk and the city clerk are going to continue to be in the grade levels of general employees. So that's one of my concerns on this. And that was not part of the presentation from the questions I asked and the answers I received. That was not something that this commission had approved. It was added later. So that's part of my issue with this, is that after the commission had its conversation, gave direction, it was put in afterwards. And we didn't even know about that. So I don't even know how to address that, but.
Well, that's why, like I said, started, even at that meeting, I stated that the city clerk position, because you asked at that meeting how to come up with a salary, and I told you that it was historically in that, and that's why how we got the number we did. So I went with exactly what we discussed at that meeting, which was historically it was in that position. So that's where the number came from. In order to continue with that, if I had stuck with the other number, then she would no longer be where historically we had always put that position. So,
And that's my point, is that the commission did not approve and authorize with the new compensation study and classification plan. We haven't yet addressed our charter officers in setting a minimum and maximum. That's really where my dilemma is.
Follow up with your, so because the general employees / directors got a 1.5 COLA, did the other charter officers, yourself and city attorney,
ma'am.
get a COLA?
no, and none of the charter officers got anything as a result of the compensation study because they're all contract employees.
Exactly.
Which is one side of it. But and as was stated, their salary is adjusted annually on the review or when a new contract comes into place. We have a new contract. I mean, that was my logic of how I got to where I got to, is because of the comment that I made to help you come up with at that meeting what was the beginning number.
That's fine. Appreciate the follow-up, thank you. Sorry, thank you.
Okay.
Anything else, Vice Mayor?
Well, and to that point, I think with both the city clerk and the deputy clerk, we are so way far out of range. And that's, I mean, this has nothing to do with Katie as far as, you and the job that you're doing. I mean, that's all, I'm talking contractual issues here. But, when you look at the profession and the typical range that this position is paid, and even deputy clerk, but I just think that we're going someplace that really we shouldn't be going. I do not believe that this should have been added after the commission did what it did, and without the commission knowing that this position has the minimum and maximum rate set like a director. I think it needs to be looked at for the position itself.
Okay.
The other part of this that's in here is page 2. There was conversation with our other charter officers, and each one is independent and separately, and you have different issues and different wages and circumstances. And there's a provision upon a timely obtaining the certified municipal clerk designation in accordance with section 12, Ms. Pito shall receive a compensation increase of no less than 5% and not more than 10% of her then current base salary. So I really have a problem with that, especially because of the fact that, again, if we look at this pay range of a minimum and maximum for a city clerk and what those duties are, that is so high above the norm, to then, and we have somebody coming in that doesn't have these qualifications yet, and the city is going to be paying in order, for what it takes to get there. And I have an issue with the justification to increase that salary at a minimum of 5% to a maximum of 10%, plus anything and everything that would also be done accordingly in the regular adjustment of the salary through evaluation.
Is this mirroring what it is in the city attorney, city managers? Thank you. What else?
And the city attorney is a different situation. City manager was a different situation. Their salaries were probably at starting base was lower or equal to the others. So that's a totally different situation, and that's what I want to emphasize there. And then this says, shall not exceed the maximum annual salary established for the city clerk position. Again, I have a problem with that because we formally have not set that as a commission. And on page number 4, I don't know that because that's the contract we had with the city clerk as far as when it comes to compensation, I don't know that there was a second, like, retirement plan. I know that that was something negotiated with the city manager, also negotiated with the city attorney. I don't think it existed for the clerk position, city clerk position. And this is something now that's added for the city clerk. So,
City manager, do you have an answer for that?
As far as whether or not it was in the previous city clerk's contract, I do not know off the top of my head if it was.
But our direction was to
Our
make
direction
sure it
was to
was the
copy the
same
other.
as yours as well as the city, yeah.
but that would then be saying, okay, it's going to be some of the other things that are, this is not the same, it's using similar, but you also have to consider the factors of city clerk is different than the city manager, is different than the city attorney. So, also the civic involvement and outside activities, I'm not sure why that was up to 2. The city manager, city attorney, and deputy city clerk is 1.
Where are you, I'm sorry?
Where are you at?
Same page, page
Where?
4.
Section 12?
I'm sorry, yes, 6 and 12, civic and involvement and outside activities.
I don't remember why that was changed to 2. We could,
Is that a negotiated?
I don't think there'd be, I mean, we can ask Ms. Pito. I don't see there
Well-
being an issue with it being 1.
Why did we even put a number there? Yours didn't have a number, did it?
1.
It does, it has 1.
Yeah, 1. And yours had a number, 1, right? So why is it 2?
Yeah, that,
Exactly.
Okay.
So, and the city manager, it was just you and the city clerk in negotiation?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you don't recall that being an issue?
Probably just a
And
typo.
city clerk, did you?
It's not an issue.
Okay, so it wasn't a negotiated, okay, so.
It was probably a typo.
Well, it's spelled out too.
And they probably,
Sorry.
as in like if they put the wrong number in there, is
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say.
And I already got with the attorney on the typo on the next page, so. And I think that was it, as far as points of consideration.
Okay, anything else? Final words. Good? Commissioner McDowell?
I apologize, I didn't take my light off.
Oh, you good?
Well,
Okay, so, we need a motion. Here we go. Let's go. Move to
Didn't give me a
approve.
chance, but okay, go ahead.
Move to approve the contract affiliated with the appointment of clerk, changing the civic involvement from 2 to 1.
Okay, I have motion by Mayor Carson to approve the city clerk contract with the revision to section 12, changing the local civic clubs from 2 to 1. Seconded by Commissioner Hanks. Mayor.
Yeah, I think that it's kind of what we've tried to do throughout the city, get everybody up to date on what their salary should be. I think tonight is a testament to why our clerk gets paid what they get paid. It is now 11 o'clock at night, and she's been here since 8. So, the responsibilities and duties for this clerk position are enormous, specifically considering our growth, some of the things that are going on in that department, and the unbelievable amount of workload. I'm sorry, but she deserves every bit of it. She's not too far away from that ICMA, or whatever it's called. I'm not worried about that. And I think that she has proven to be a asset already, and I fully support it.
Commissioner Hicks?
Yeah, I mean, I've actually been impressed. I've been impressed with what Ms. Vito has done in the last year. Did not expect it at all. I mean, I expect you to be good.
Right.
But I mean, not to the level that you're coming to right now after not even quite a year, right at a year, right, a little over, right? We did the year. So, and I think, the mayor had it right. I also think your responsibility to the public is a heavy burden.
Mm-hmm.
You deal directly with them as much or more than probably we do, So I think this is a fine contract, and if you agree to it, I am happy with it also, so.
I think we should also add not just the responsibility to the public, but the liability.
Well, that's also.
You know what I mean? Because it's a
There is
double-edged sword.
There's liability
Absolutely.
and risk that you have there.
Yep.
So, absolutely.
Okay.
Oh,
Commissioner
sorry.
McDowell? Yeah,
Sorry.
I like the contract. The only part that gives me pause is the increase in the salary. And the 1.5%, I know is only a small amount, it's $1,400. But if we're trying to mirror the other charter officers, they're not getting a 1.5. Automatically, it comes at contract time, and that's something to be taken into consideration at contract time.
City manager? Yeah, they
She
do.
wouldn't continually get it every year like everybody else does. She would be treated the same as the rest of the charter officers.
She's starting with a 1.5 above and beyond.
Yeah, because
So it's 1.5 to get to the base of the pay grade.
That's what that 95,000.
The 97,000 is the new base of the pay grade, effective October
So
1.
that's why.
That was put in by staff.
At commission direction was
Absolutely.
to change the pay grade to that.
And our city clerk should be paid more than the deputy.
Absolutely.
Oh, of course, the deputy wasn't going to get nearly this.
No, I know.
This was
So
commission
now we brought
direction.
her all the way up to the bottom.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
And it's a
Commissioner McDowell, did you have
lot of
anything else?
responsibility.
No, I get it. I get it.
I totally understand where Vice Mayor was coming from in the 1.5. If I was told that that is the new high and low that is out there for that position, that's one thing. That's what we told the 95 was. The 97, it just bothers me the way that it was calculated because it was comparing it to what the other employees did. So I totally understand where she's coming from. And we just need to make sure we don't make those, continue that on. And that's already been stated that it's not. As far as the amount, it is only $1,400. And she is going to be working a while without a deputy clerk.
Mm-hmm.
And we thought she was going to be having some help, and she's not.
Stop reminding her, she's going to renegotiate.
Yeah, no joke.
So, I am all right in approving the amount at this point because she is going to have to buckle down for a
The
while.
world on her back, right?
And so I want to thank her for the good job that she has done, being the leader that she has, and I know her team under her appreciates her. So I will go ahead and support this, though I understand exactly what Vice Mayor was talking about. But
I too appreciate the job that Ms. Pito is doing, coming in here and kind of a lot of things going on. So I appreciate that and sticking with it in that effort. So coming from a contractual standpoint is where I have these issues. And I really think that, it can't be both ways. If this commission is going to take two charter officers and put them into a pay grade, which again, I don't recall the commission ever authorizing that that's what we were going to do. We may have asked a question to give us a sounding or starting point, but I don't know that we ever said our clerk and deputy clerk is going to now be considered here on as director pay grade. We don't treat the other two charter officers that same way. We don't. So we're trying to treat all the charter officers the same. They're contract employees now. All things are negotiable as far as their position, what they do, the requirements, the industry standard, all of those things. If that's how we're going to treat them, we can't then at the same token say, oh, and we're going to treat two of them differently, because I don't think that's right. We're putting something in here of a second retirement, which I didn't really agree with any charter officer. I think, the public pays very well in retirement for all employees, and it's not something I agree with. And certainly if we can, meander back and forth between treating like a regular employee plus a contract, then certainly we could make those changes and not have a second retirement for the city clerk. And then this part about the 5% increase, no less than 5% increase. I mean, folks, we're talking about a city clerk position without a lot of years of experience as a city clerk being paid over $100,000. And that is way above. When you look at some of these averages, $65,000 to $85,000 as a city clerk. Now, there are a few jurisdictions that are higher than that, just like there's a few jurisdictions that pay their city manager, $800,000 in California? I mean, there are some way out of whack salaries. And, this to me, I think goes way above. Way above. And if it were 10%, that would be a $10,000 raise. And I cannot justify that for the position of a city clerk.
Would you like me to make an amendment?
You're welcome to do that.
Make an amendment that we strike the shall receive a compensation increase of no less than 5% or no more than 10% of her current salary when she receives the IIMC certification.
You're just going to open it up to receive whatever.
Correct.
I mean, it could be 25%.
But we don't have to agree to it.
Right.
That's-
Well, but we don't have to agree to that.
No, we
Other
have
than
to
the
agree to
5.
5.
Well, yeah, but you're also pulling out the 10. That's why I
I'm
was
pulling
asking.
out the whole sentence.
Second.
So, but
I have the
then-
motion stated, as stated by Commissioner McDowell, seconded by Commissioner Liu. Commissioner McDowell, do you want to speak to that?
No, I agree. We gave her a 1.5 right off the bat to bring her up to director salary, 3.5% of a second retirement account. I think that this needs to come out. It bothered me when I was reading it too. I'm glad to hear somebody else was a little bothered by it.
I personally don't mind the 5%, but I really would like to keep the 10% in.
Okay, hold on, let me get
The max,
Commissioner Liu.
you mean?
Yeah, keep
I
the
see what you
max
mean.
in.
I would rather strike the entire thing and then allow whoever's in commission can decide what they
Exactly.
need to do that year, that fiscal year, and just leave it open to them.
So it still allows that increase by the
Annual review.
annual review.
Yeah.
Is there a max on that?
Nope.
There won't be a max.
But we, as a commission, can decide
But
what
we
that
also won't
is.
be limited on the
and-
bottom side.
Correct, and she can either accept it or not. So,
I see. Let's vote.
Right?
Well, did you have something?
No, I had a question. She answered it.
Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and take a vote on the amendments.
Vice Mayor, can I just clarify, is the amendment to strike the entire sentence in that section that would allow for an automatic raise upon receipt of certification?
correct.
Where it starts upon timely, that sentence. Okay? We're all clear. Please vote.
Sorry, I went to a comma instead of a period when I made that. Thank you.
Next sentence, too.
Okay, and that passes 4-1 with Commissioner Hanks dissenting for,
Mostly, as I think about it, you know, for her to go through these classes, to know that to know what her increase will be is real motivation for these classes, to get them done, to go through them. I know a job is too, but I just didn't, I just don't see her.
All right, still talking.
I'm good, I'm done.
Before we move on to what the city attorney said, by striking it upon timely obtaining certificate of municipal clerk designation, we just removed that she is going to get that.
No, ma'am, that's not correct. Section,
I'm just double checking. I'm just double checking.
I know it says section 12, but I think that's a typo. It's section 11.
Thank you. Okay.
Requires her to obtain the certified designation 3 years on the
So then
contract
we're,
date.
just for clarification for the record, so we're striking from the word upon to conjunction with the certification. So it looks like it's a very long sentence, or it's two? Okay, it is two sentences. I just want to make sure everybody is comfortable with that before we move on, because the first sentence is talking about the 5 to 10%, but the second sentence said increase shall be in addition to any annual review. We just struck that, so we have to strike that next sentence. I just want to make sure everybody is comfortable with that before we.
I think it was understood in the motion that we were taking the language away that had to do
Okay.
with that, which included starting at the upon timely. So I'm getting nods from everybody, so I think we all.
I just wanted to be on the safe side.
Okay. All right. Okay. Is there anything else? Okay. All right. And with that, then let's go ahead and take the vote.
Made motion as amended.
Yep, this is to the motion as amended, and I appreciate definitely the amendment. However, I have those other strong concerns about the pay grade.
I think this is a nice compliment. It's what the city clerk agrees, interim city clerk agrees to.
Right. Okay, and that passes 4-1 with Vice Mayor Yates dissenting for the reasons of the disagreement with the pay grade determination. So, and I do think at some point that we as a commission need to really fix that issue. So, and I don't, because right now, I guess what that's saying, or by this action, with the understanding based on what was presented, that there is a cap set, and that cap is set at the maximum of a director. And I think it's something to consider for the deputy clerk position that we'll get to in conversation as well.
Okay, moving on. We need an approval of the consent agendas A and.
Deputy city clerk.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I forgot about that. I did mark it out by accident. Deputy city clerk appointment, how do you want to handle this, city manager?
Mayor, as, just to recap, we heard today that Ms. Leatherwood is not going to take the position. So that was literally, I want to say like an hour before the meeting that we became aware of that. So at this point, we will need to start a search process for a deputy city clerk. We can handle that through HR like we did for previous ones. And then bring you all a list, just like we did for the city clerk position, and narrow it down, and then you'll pick who you want to interview, if that's the way you'd like to handle it. If you'd like more options, we can give you that too.
Commissioner McDowell, you have a motion? Go ahead.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So before we go down any motion, Can we address what currently exists, which is staff put into the compensation final report, that the deputy clerk is going to get the salary that the deputy clerk is getting? Do we have the option to say, nope, that that's not the range that we're accepting?
If you want a different option, or a different range, yes. That is a very good question.
Addressed by the commission. Here's
They were
city
when we
manager,
did.
city attorney, city.
Of course, it doesn't exist.
Pretty
right
much.
now. I'd say we table that whole sucker until it's time to deal with it. Because
It
it's
is
11
time.
o'clock at night, nobody's paying attention to this. Again, we're back to 11 o'clock meetings that we held these afternoon meetings so the populace can see. Now we're going to deal with these after 11 o'clock at night. And this is something that obviously has just been discontinued for us. So I don't see the point hashing this one out tonight.
Well, we need a deputy clerk.
Well, yeah, but we're talking about directly hashing out this contract and the way it's worded. That can be done. Yeah.
Or not.
Yeah, that's what I thought we were going to do. We were going to talk about the contract.
No.
No?
She just wants to reduce the amount of pay grade for deputy clerk.
Oh, well, that can be that can be discussed.
And then, so that when we go out for a deputy clerk,
They know exactly what they're coming into.
they know what they're coming into.
So Mayor, here's the thing, if we don't have maximum ranges for other charter officers, because it was decided by the commission that we're not going to do that, we're gonna have a base.
When was that? Because we did do that.
No,
When
we didn't, there's no max.
We had mins and maxes when we went out for our city clerk.
No, for the city attorney and the city manager.
I think we did.
Oh.
We had a pay range. Here's the minimum, here's the maximum.
Starting.
I don't think so.
We do not have one for the city attorney or the city manager. Like I stated, the city clerk has always been in the director pay range. The deputy city clerk is in the pay range that starts at 73,402.16 and it has a maximum of 110,103.34 if you decide to continue that.
What was the max?
73416.
At the bottom.
So that's the
Max
bottom.
was 110.
110,103.34.
So throw out there the minimum and see who bites.
And that's probably 20, well, the average on those is 45,000 to 70,000, 75. We are just way out of range on that. And that's why I'm bringing it up. But before we go and advertise something, if we're going to make a motion to go out, I think we need to address, what are we going to put out?
Well,
What is that starting?
I think that's your opinion, and this 73.4 is based on data, correct?
No.
City manager?
73 is based on the pay grade that the deputy city clerk has been in historically.
Okay.
Which is not
But I
necessarily
thought,
comparable.
I'm talking, but I thought that when we did our classification and pay grade study, we looked at those positions kind of in a silo, and that's how we kind of came up with those minimums and maximums. Because they looked at what it was that they did.
According to the salary study that was done, the deputy city clerk range actually is, or the survey results show it, if I'm looking at this correctly, roughly 42 to 67.6.
What? 60 what?
67,608.96.
That's what I said, at the top end, I've found, 70,000, 75.
Deputy.
Bring them in at 50 then. Go from there. Split the baby.
Well, we were already paying the deputy clerk 67, correct? For 65?
Actually,
72.
72.
Well,
in
that was
February.
after
After-
raise though.
After her raise, yeah.
What did you start at?
She started at 69.9.
9 something,
9,910
yeah.
would have been the base of that pay range that the deputy city clerk has historically been in.
Mm-hmm.
I would think starting somebody less than what we have traditionally going on would be a little offensive.
I don't know.
Especially
How
for
do you
the
ever-
larger staff and department.
But how do you ever correct things that have been done, only because that's the way they've been done, or it was arbitrary, which is my issue with this.
Yeah, but
And so
what's
how
the-
do you ever
I'm not
correct it?
arguing that.
Right.
I'm not arguing that the
Right.
pay is over what the norm is, but I don't know how, once you've made that error,
How
for the
you
next
correct
person
it
to come
without,
in,
yeah.
you know, yeah.
What is,
It's a separate contract, they accept or they reject. If they accept it, well, then they're good with it. So I don't see it as a fair issue on a contractual employee.
Right.
When we put it out to bid, we're going to be telling them this is a contractual thing, and it's going to be based on experience and expertise and
Here's your contract, here's
certifications.
what we're willing to pay.
You know, so if we started out at 50 and somebody puts in an application for that, and we find out that they're really, really qualified and they'll make a great deputy city clerk, we can offer them more, just like we did with Miss Heidi, based on their experience and stuff.
what are the requirements, though? Aren't there specific requirements for the deputy city clerk?
There are, I would have to pull up, see if I can find the job description.
Part of the contract. Deputy city clerk job description.
Item.
It's in this
It's
agenda
in the
item
back of the contract.
on page 9.
High school
Are they
diploma.
extensive?
Basically just helping the city clerk preparing and working together. I don't see.
Or is education, it says high school diploma from accredited high school,
Yeah,
position of acceptable equivalency, supplemental college work in business or public administration, and 5 years of experience.
they have to be able to obtain the International Institute of Municipal Clerk certification. And a notary is required too, and a driver's license.
If there's an education requirement for that certification or not, there's not. Ms. Pito might know about it.
There is not.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I can kind of see maybe there might be a
50.
little, yeah, it might be a little high where we're at.
Mhm.
Now that I'm looking at this.
I asked. I'm okay with 50.
Can I make a motion? Anybody else have any questions?
Everybody,
And staff, I mean, I just want to make sure, so then we don't want to have anything, because it wasn't formally adopted by the commission in that classification final report, that can get corrected so that we don't have conflicting information, correct?
Correct.
Okay, but because the city clerk was just approved, and, I mean, that's stuck where it is.
The starting salary is stuck where you just approved it. As far as it being in a pay grade, no.
Okay.
You could pull it out of a pay grade, because there's nothing in the contract that talks about a pay grade.
Right.
It's realistically, like I said, historically, it's been in one. And I will tell you, if you pull it out of a pay grade, it will no longer have a minimum or a maximum, unless you create one. But right now, it's in one that does have a minimum and a maximum.
well, let's,
Pull it out of a pay grade, there won't be any of that.
we need to just deal with that at another time. But for right now,
But we could do that with the deputy clerk, since we're identifying where we feel we need to be. That could get corrected.
Correct. We can
We're
pull it
starting
out.
from scratch right now.
Correct.
That was all my questions.
Commissioner Hanks, anything else?
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I'm good.
Commissioner McDowell, you said you were ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion to have city manager use our human resource department to put out a job, call for a job for a deputy city clerk with a starting salary of $50,000, subject to experience. Bring back the application so that we can narrow it down to 4, similar to what we did with the clerk.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner McDowell, as stated, seconded by Commissioner Luke. Anything of that, Commissioner McDowell?
No, I hope I was clear.
Commissioner Luke? Anyone else? You're going to talk, really. Now we're at 11:06. All right, go ahead.
I think that this is the opportunity to talk about any of the requirements that we may want to set or have as far as whether the commission desires this to be, statewide search, or do you want to go national? I just wanted to air that because now is the time to make those parameters if we want to go there.
Go ahead.
Want me to make the amendment?
Make another motion.
You want me? I'll make an amendment. Wait, I've got some.
We already.
We're just kind of curious, when you say a statewide search, what do you mean by that?
Searching within the state of Florida.
Searching within the state of Florida versus putting it internationally is what she's saying.
Or nationally, yeah.
Currently, our search software is an online
International.
software. So people actually can log in, and if a position is posted anywhere, it's a system. So somebody in Colorado could already be registered and say, hey, if City of Northport ever is looking for this position, notify me.
That's not a problem,
You
though,
can't
that more
limit,
people.
you
can
can't
submit.
limit any applicant based on their geographical location, whether they're down the street or across the globe. Now, if you would like, to direct certain places you want the HR to post it or something like that.
You're saying that employers have to,
I'm saying if someone is in Helsinki and they apply for the job, they're allowed to apply for the job legally. Or if they're in Tallahassee, or if they're in Atlanta.
But could they add a requirement that the person have Florida experience?
And you might have the best Florida clerk in the world who's on hiatus, for 6 months in Helsinki doing whatever. Do you know what I mean? So you can't deny who can apply for the job based on where they're located.
well, then maybe it is appropriate to at least say if the desire of the commission is to have Florida experience. Is that what I'm hearing, is that you have to put it out nationally? But
Well, I don't know what you mean by put it out nationally. So it goes on our
Well, on
website,
that
first of
website
all,
thing,
and it
yeah.
goes into, I'm not sure where else HR will post this particular one, but just even on our website, yeah, anybody who has internet access can see that on our website and can apply for it.
Right.
And then whatever parameters you put on it, then you're going to limit HR's review. So if it's Florida experience required, then it's only the ones that have that. If it's Florida experience preferred, that gives you a little more discretion. If you see a resume that's outstanding, you may want to interview that person even if they don't have Florida experience.
I just want to make sure that the commission is, at the end of the day, going to evaluate these, knowing what it is they're looking for, and that the applicants themselves fully know that, they're going to have an advantage, so to say, if we have something that says Florida experience preferred. So
I think we have someone here to answer that question, maybe? City manager?
Christine McDade, Human Resources Director. It was hard for me to hear some of the conversation, but
Welcome
if
to
we
our
want to
world.
put some kind of Florida, I think that's what you were saying, Amber, Florida experience, or you can put
Florida
something
experience
in the,
preferred.
something like that in the posting. I couldn't hear you guys from back there because of the conversation.
Sorry, I wasn't trying to take your job.
No, but that's it. I just want to make sure we can do that.
And that would give the applicants kind of that heads up that that is a specific thing we're looking for.
Sure. I was just going to comment, the NeoGov system is available on the internet, so it goes all over the world. So that's what I think we were trying to say, as
Yeah.
far as directing it. It's
Right.
just available to everyone.
Okay. So I'll move to amend the motion to include Florida experience preferred.
I'll second.
Wait, didn't we already vote on the motion, though?
Not yet.
No, okay. So there's been an amendment. as stated by Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner McDowell. Let's get this going. Go ahead and vote on the amendment. I don't even know where we're at anymore.
Almost there.
Okay, and that is unanimous. So we have a total of 2 amendments, correct?
Only one.
No, just one.
Well, then what did we just amend?
The Florida experience is preferred to the main motion, which was to have HR put out a job search
Yes,
for
search.
$50,000.
Okay, I don't remember.
Bring back all the
Hearing
applicants, and then we're
that.
gonna narrow it down to 4 or 5
I
after we
got
see
you.
all of them.
All right, so,
Looking at the previous
I was too.
item. Yeah.
I was zoning. Okay, I'm already in bed. All right, let's go ahead and vote.
As amended.
As amended. That's unanimous. Okay. Oh, we done now? Shit. Oh, no. You're funny. Okay. Now we need
Move
to,
Consent agenda A, C, and E.
thank you very much.
Oh, somebody else has got the second button.
No, I hadn't pushed the motion yet,
Oh.
so you should
All
be
right,
able
so
to
it's
do
been
it.
moved by Commissioner Luke, seconded by Vice Mayor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To
Where is
approve
the
consent.
sheeted lots on here? Okay, okay.
I think we're all,
I knew that, but I was, okay. Thank you. Let's go ahead and vote on that. And that's unanimous. Thank you very much. Moving on to B. Okay. Who's going first?
I pulled it, you want me to?
Go for it.
So I was reviewing these, hold on, let me get it out. So I was reviewing the attachments, the exhibits, and comparing them to each other. So exhibit 1 is the lots that are within the city of Northport that are sheeted to the county. Exhibit 2 are lots that are in county possession that are slated for archaeological and environmental. There are 2 lots in Exhibit 2 that are not on Exhibit 1. And I am concerned about that because they're not referenced anywhere else in Exhibit 1, 2, 3, or 4. And they are the parcels that are right next to the PD concourse or utilities building. There's 2 big parcels, and they're not on Exhibit 1. And if all of the others are on Exhibit 1, except for these 2. And those 2 lots are extremely environmentally sensitive.
and they were combined with those other 2 parcels, so it kind of, what happened to them then? Is the whole parcel now archaeological, or does it get lost within whatever those designations are for the bigger PID? Sorry, I don't mean to,
Yeah, and
but
that
it was
was
very
another
concerning.
question that I had, that does this new agreement then say whatever's in Exhibit 2, do they stay on the archaeological/environmentally sensitive? Or do they just get combined with all of the other at-large lots?
I'm trying to find staff's email. I know I asked these questions.
The response that
You
we
have
received,
it?
yes. And I just want to say that there's been extensive questions on this.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them have been directed to the county because it is theirs. If we don't have answers that we've already given you, we may need to pull this item because we're not prepared for a lot of the questions that have come as of this item. And I say that because this was brought to us as an item. The county's offering us a certain number of lots. We did not anticipate there would be this many questions on it, and So I have spoken to the county. There's no issue with delaying this till the November 13th meeting, which would be our next regular scheduled meeting, so that we can get more
Really?
information.
Sorry.
But that would allow us time to, so if we have a bunch of questions, I am going to recommend that we pull it. But in answer to your question, that those lots were looked up and they were combined with the it said Little Salt Slough. And I'm thinking that they were combined with the other PIDs that were purchased and had been previously included as archaeological historical resolution. That it had already been decided upon and not necessary to include in the master list.
But, okay, if that's the case, then why were the other, I don't know, I'll call them 25 lots that are in Exhibit 2 included in the master list of 1?
And that's a question I can't answer.
Okay.
I gotta be honest, I've got a lot of things on this that I think we should pull it.
And that would be my recommendation. What I would ask is if there are more questions,
send them by email.
if you can send them to me so that we can get them addressed.
Yep. Pull it to the what, November what?
The November 13th meeting,
Wait, November 13th?
the first regular meeting in the month of
I
November.
can do that one.
I can't get answers by tomorrow, sorry.
No, I got
Do you mean Mr. Lewis is not up watching this meeting?
Right?
It's probably his Red Sox playing the World Series, would be my guess.
Okay, so we need a motion.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Do you want the questions now, or do you want me to email them to you, or do you want me to say it out loud so that the other commissioners know what the questions are? I don't.
Email them and they can
Email 'em.
answer them back to the whole.
Okay.
Yeah, and what I was going to ask is, unfortunately, since it would be moved to the 13th, I'm not going to be here at that meeting.
But we would still like your
So-
questions so that we can get the information for
Well,
everybody.
that's what I was going to ask. If you can please send to the rest of the
Absolutely.
commissioners the information that was sent to me in regards to this item, the answer, the questions and all of that.
My plan
And
is
then-
to assemble all the questions together,
Okay.
get answers for all of them, and send it out to everybody.
And the one thing that I do want to bring up to commission, because I think it's more of a policy thing, as as you're looking at this. Okay, pay attention now, Mayor. Page number 4. Item E. This dispute resolution process is very concerning, and it may be something that, but I want to make sure that you do touch on this. It says the decision of the city manager and the county administrator regarding the dispute shall be final. And so that would be one area that I would ask that be removed.
So what I would suggest is to also include some things that you would suggest.
Sure. Absolutely. And also.
Maybe even the day after election, you could write an email to all commissioners.
Yeah, Citizen Yates.
How you like that?
Oh, that's funny.
But it's
yeah.
probably more thorough.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it'll be
Know what
about
I mean?
75 pages.
Yeah.
It'll be-
What?
Whatever you email us, it'll be 75 pages. I know it'll be thorough.
Right?
Yeah, very funny.
Okay, so anything else?
No, because I don't want to get into all the different questions. You're going to be getting those. And also
Exactly.
city manager, the maps that I had, the map that I had asked for. And
Yeah,
The map,
I got a
the map,
whole
the
bunch
map.
of stuff. Yeah.
Dora, the map?
So are we,
Sorry.
do we table this,
It's
or do we pull it
late. I'm
until
ready
the
to go.
13th? City attorney?
Table it.
I think it probably should be pulled so that it can be put on the
I would pull
agenda
it so we can
instead of coming
revise it.
back on consent.
I'll make a motion to pull the interlocal agreement between the city of Northport and Sarasota County regarding this cheated real property until a meeting of the city manager's discretion,
There you go.
just in case the 13th doesn't happen.
Okay, so it's been moved by Commissioner McDowell, it's stated, seconded by Commissioner Luke. Anything? Nothing? Let's vote. Oh, and that's unanimous. Good job, good job. Okay. D, agreement with Minnesota Multi-State, whatever.
The only reason
Go
why I
ahead.
pulled this, Mayor, was because I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to do a PSA for the HEROES program regarding the opioid overdose prevention methods that are being given to us. That's the only reason why I pulled it. If nobody else is interested in a PSA, I think it's really good to have the public be able to hear about it.
They're all asleep right now.
Well, they can
so-
review it tomorrow when they're awake.
So what do you want?
I'd like a PSA, thank you.
Where would you like that PSA from?
Whoever wants to give it to us.
Was this organized ahead of time?
No.
No.
I told the city manager I was pulling it for this reason.
Oh, okay, so then it was. All right, city manager, you have something in mind?
For PSA?
Yeah, just to explain what this is.
Yes, we will certainly get it out there to explain what it is.
I think she's wanting you to
You
do it
want to
now.
just do it here?
On it now instead of on Facebook. Yeah.
Someone to do a
me
presentation
also?
at 11:22 at night,
It's
yeah.
not going to be a 10-minute or 15-minute presentation. I'm sure Chief Titus is going to make it quick and brief.
You know what, make it all 15 minutes.
And look at that, he's even getting support of the police chief.
Good
as well.
evening.
Oh, he's bringing up muscle now.
We're one team, remember? We are one team.
Oh, yeah, we remember. That was what, 20 hours ago?
Scott Titus, Chief of the Fire Rescue District, and
Chief Doug Garrison, Police Department.
so Florida Department of Health had a great program, which we applied for. We applied for an opportunity to get doses of Narcan, which are used for the emergency treatment of opiate overdose. Some of the concerns were obviously for our community and for our first responders. So this enabled us, at no cost to the city, to get 400 doses of intranasal administration for Narcan and 40 doses of regular Narcan administration. The 40 doses will go to fire rescue and supplement our supplies, so that saves the city money, things that we don't have to buy. The 400 doses, there's 2 doses per pack, so it's actually 200 multi-dose packets. We will go through some training with the police department and show them how to administer this. It doesn't take any advanced skills or anything like that. Intranasal actually goes up into the nose. You absorb the medication through the nasal mucosa and reverses.
The nasal what?
Yeah, well, I'm 17 hours in, so.
Yeah, I hear you.
And it absorbs in the nasal mucosa and reverses the opioid effect. So police officers carry it in their cars if they happen to beat us on scene, which they usually don't. Or God forbid, and really most importantly, all joking aside, if one of our police officers were exposed to something before we got there, they have the ability to give emergency care and render emergency aid very quickly. I believe, and please forgive me, it's been a lot of hours, but since I looked it up, but when we first went through this, I think I did a rough calculation, and I want to say it's a little over $30,000 worth of medication.
How much?
Well, I believe it's a little over $30,000.
Wow, that's cool.
So it's a great opportunity. Very excited about it. Very excited to partner with the police department. We're going to do some training together with them, and I'll turn it over to Chief in case he wants to add anything, because he said he wanted to be here late.
Ditto.
Everything he said, ditto.
Ditto. Thank you. Thank you for indulging me. I just thought this is really important that the community knows about it. And yes, someone will watch it, I guarantee you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Appreciate that. I'll make a motion.
Thank you for being
Want me to make a motion?
Yeah, I was waiting to hear if they had something else to add.
They were discussing how
Bonnie
pretty
and
each of
Clyde
them
over
were.
there. Yeah, go ahead.
Make a motion to approve the agreement with the Minnesota Multi-State Contracting Alliance for the pharmacies and the HEROES program.
Second.
All right, so it's been moved by Commissioner McDowell to approve the agreement, seconded by Commissioner Yates. Let's go ahead and vote. Go ahead, just vote.
I don't know if I can.
Oh, no, not for him.
I didn't think so.
No, I didn't mean that.
That's what I thought you were saying. I'm like, I don't
That's
think I
funny.
can do that.
You want to wait for him?
I don't know where he's at.
Oh. Just go ahead and vote. And that's unanimous, 4-0, with Commissioner Hanks stepping out. Okay.
And letter F, I just pulled because I'm going to be voting against this, as you all know, so I didn't want to tie anything up, so there we can move on.
You're voting against
Nice.
it?
Shocker. Why?
Yeah.
No, there's a lot of, I have some serious concerns with the mowers. I left the vehicles alone for a change and moved on to mowers. I mean, we're replacing things, I think, far too soon. So,
Okay. Somebody make a motion.
I'm not, I'll make it to deny it.
I'm asking someone to make a motion.
Move to approve a consent agenda item F. Second.
All right. Anything to that, folks? Seeing none, let's vote. And that passes 4-1 with Commissioner McDowell dissenting for reasons stated. Okay, there is no public comment. Is there any
No public
communication?
I had somebody I'm definitely not going to converse with her about it tonight.
Amen. Anyone?
Yes.
Of course.
I'll leave the other things for another day, but just two things. One, we received the memo from City Clerk. Congratulations, by the way, if that all gets finalized. But I,
City clerk now.
yeah, no. I did receive the
She took it. Look.
the list of the county advisory boards. Thank you very much for putting that together. There are several in there that we could have Northport citizens sit on. So if it's okay with the commission, I think we need to give some direction to include those in possibly the announcements.
Sorry.
Look at you multitasking.
She wants you to send something out for the county boards.
Well, just
In our
to
announcements?
include in the announcements, yeah, there's one specific to North, that Northport could.
Do you want to include the boards that had at-large positions? Because
Yes.
those potentially could have a
Exactly.
Northport resident.
Right.
Okay.
Along that line, I had a conversation with Elaine Emmerich today, and she had some really good suggestions in marketing, those types of things, of doing maybe a short video of what the meetings are about.
Right.
To put, I mean, I'm talking about even our city ones too. Having, so that they can see, what all it involves. But also during our breaks, when we take breaks here, there's videos that circulate. So while somebody's waiting for us to come back, we could also be discussing those vacancies and maybe showing something during that time too. And her recommendation is to update those videos because it has some of the past employees on it that maybe we could update them and get our current chiefs and stuff on. Thank you.
Okay, and like I said, I'll save the other stuff for another day. But one very important issue is there will be a quasi-judicial item coming up on Sable Trace. And because of our fairly new quasi-judicial procedures, or tweaked procedures, I believe, Mayor, that you are going to have the pleasure of having to deal with the process that includes aggrieved parties, because I think when you look at this, that the public is involved, engaged, and my concern is that I don't know that these folks know that process that they have to do in order to retain those rights as an aggrieved party. So I don't know if there's a way we can put on the website this new quasi-judicial judicial procedure that they have to register with the clerk in order to preserve that position.
Vice Mayor, I'll let the city manager speak to the website. But the city manager's office meets with the HOA monthly, and at the last meeting, they invited the city attorney, well, 2 meetings ago.
Right.
They circulated information in the meeting related to the procedure. And then at the last monthly meeting, I think it was the last one, at a recent monthly meeting, our assistant city attorney, went and spoke and answered questions on that process and specifically talked about the aggrieved party, process.
Right.
So that bit of that bit of information has been circulated that way.
That's good. That's good. And like I said, I think just making sure that it's out there in a way that we can, not specific to this issue, but that policy or that code is now in place.
We can certainly put it on the website. Sorry, we can certainly put it on the website. I'm just in my head trying to run through any pitfalls of putting it anywhere else. Being so close to a potential item, would it look like we're trying to make sure that people do something?
Well, and I'm not.
It is also codified. It's updated in Muni code.
Yeah.
So it is accurate in the city's code online.
But I don't know that, say, in the planning and zoning, in that section of the website, that they've got all this other information, and I don't know that is readily accessible there. So, like I said, I just was concerned so that we don't end up in a situation that people didn't realize or know in order for them to have the rights that they are afforded, that process is there. That's all.
Just to make sure to clarify for the record, whatever the city does, it needs to do going forward for its quasi-judicial, applicants. If we put it somewhere on the website, we want it to be somewhere where it's held permanently unless there's a policy change and not specific to the item that you referenced.
Exactly. That's it.
Okay. Ms. McDowell?
I'll be real quick. Along the lines of the Sable Trace thing, I attended that community meeting, and they said that they taped it and that they were going to supply a link to the city to put on the website for the Sable Trace. I was wondering if that link has been provided to you yet, because the website as of this morning was not updated.
I'll find out if it's come into the city at all.
Yeah, they videotaped it, and they encouraged the people that were in attendance to share that link to the others that may still be up north. So that's why I was asking.
May I ask you who said that they were going to provide it?
Whoever one of the 3 guys up on the stage were.
I like that.
I know they have been passing it around Sable Trace.
So they did say that they were going to supply it to the city in hopes that it would be put onto our website. So I kind of had a feeling that that's why it's not on there yet. So the city attorney and the city manager and our mayor did a very cool radio show on Friday. Good job, guys.
Thank you.
I was wondering if that could
We
be...
had fun.
Yeah, you guys did a good job, really. I was wondering if that could be put onto either the city's website along with the charter information as an additional link, and maybe shared on the social media site.
Yeah, I blasted it all over the place, so.
I tried to, but for some reason, John Rawlings' things don't transfer well for me. There's something that, I don't know, I am not able to share them. They always either disappear or whatever. I don't know if the city manager needs.
Me. I don't know.
And I saw that, and you all did a great job answering the questions. Very good.
I did hear from someone who was working down at the booths this week with the early elections, and they had been receiving a bunch of people saying, "Oh, I'm not voting for that because that's just put on so that Carousel can be there forever." Still,
Oh my gosh.
oh my God, some
So
people,
if you could put that on there, on the website too.
like she wants to be there forever? Are you kidding me?
That's all I have, Mayor, thank you.
Oh, that's it, all right. Waiting for the
A
rest,
couple
thank
others,
you.
but I'm gonna hold off.
Okay, anyone else?
Yeah, I'll save mine for an abnormal commission meeting.
Administration, anyone? No, gonna save it for another one? Yep,
No, you know, one
I got
that
it.
is done during the day, but,
yeah, where we're all awake.
you know, younger,
Yeah.
earlier.
City clerk,
4 hours.
hold on, city clerk.
Oh, I'm sorry, were you asking me something, or?
It's time for your report if there's something that you, communication, whatever.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Please come again. All right, I think with that,
Love your
we,
lawyer day. Take that back.
thank you.
In the world is this, oh. She,